Hello, welcome to another episode of Harshing's podcast. Today we have a guest. Guest, please introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Neida. I guess I'm Mario's sister.
Yeah. So yeah, we brought in my sister to have a conversation with us. You know, just based on
She has a lot of valuable life experience to share. So I've been wanting to sit down and talk to you about it. We talked about it like off, this whole thing. But yeah, I think you have a lot of things to share with, about your experiences.
yeah. So yeah, we have to bring you. We had to bring you on so you could talk to us. Just kind of explain because things that we've learned throughout this kind of little small journey so far is that based on the guests we bring in and the things that we talk about, the experiences it can resonate with a different set of group of people, and the more people we bring in, the more I feel like it'll get the message to other people. Like, hey, I went through that. Or I'm going through that currently. It's kind of like giving like a light.
We've also been told that this is kind of therapeutic. Mm-hmm. So this is
free therapy.
Yeah, technically. Mm-hmm. So yeah.
What's your first question?
So my first question is to you. Well, is more. The questions usually I have like a set of questions that I want to ask. So when Victor was here, I had my set of questions that I wanted to ask. So with you, it's going to be a little more like freestyle, kind of like whatever comes to my head.
Improvise.
Yeah, we're gonna improvise a lot on this one because it's just so many things that we can touch, and based on an hour or 2 hours, whatever we do today, it's gonna be like hard to touch on all subjects. So as things come, then I'll be asking. Do you want to start? You have any question first before I jump in?
Well, I asked you before, we started recording, if there was anything that you weren't comfortable with talking about. You said you're an open book, so you and I have had many different conversations about just everything. And I also asked you, where do you want to start from? The beginning or what you're going through right now? What are you comfortable with, sharing right now?
Whatever you guys feel more comfortable with. It really doesn't matter. I guess it all ends up back going to the beginning. It always does. So whichever way we end up going forward, we're going to end up touching the past and the bad stuff.
Okay.
So whatever's fine.
Do you want to start with what you're going through right now?
So
what's your relationship status right now?
Oh, right now I'm single.
Okay.
Yeah. I guess it's been an on and off kind of situation. Mm-hmm. I guess with all my relationships kind of been on and off. It has never, except Hernan, that was kind of more stable and then break up and then boom, that's it. Mm-hmm. But other than that, my other two relationships with Eliana's dad and the current relationship I'm going through, it was always on and off. And I think those are the relationships that I end up lasting longer because they're on and off, But right now I'm single.
Do you feel like there's something that what kind of keeps you there?
With Sergio, I think I would say that it was more of need, and he knows this. He knows that in a way, I kind of needed him. And it sounds bad, but...
And that's your daughter's father?
Yes. Mm-hmm. It sounds kind of bad because, but those are just facts. I was literally 14 years old when I met him, and we were together for 7 years. And our relationship started in a bad place because I was trying to run away from home. Mm-hmm. I was going through so many shit at that time, and I'm allowed to say shit, right?
Yeah.
You can
say whatever you want.
So we were going through so many stuff, and I was going through a lot of stuff. My dad, I think it turned off.
Did it?
No.
Are you good?
It's good.
Hey, your headphone?
Oh, maybe. Yeah. I guess my dad had just left when I decided to kind of move in with Sergio. He kind of came in sort of like the rescue because we were in a really bad spot at that time.
So was this around the same time that me and Mario started dating? Because around the same time that me and Mario started dating, that was when your dad had left, and he was kind of going through it emotionally.
Yeah. We were really bad spot. To the point where we were living in a house that had been already foreclosed, and because we were scared at any time they were gonna come, we were literally sleeping on the floor.
Yeah.
So it was bad. It was a bad situation. Like we had no electricity, no water. No, we had electricity, didn't we?
Yeah. Well, when we were planning on moving out, we just stopped paying bills. Like,
Yeah.
we're moving out anyways. So for a while, we didn't have electricity.
No
or
water.
So then, and then after that, we moved out of the house, and then eventually we came back.
We came back.
Like maybe 2 months later. So it's like we were kind of on and off with that house, you know.
Yeah.
So
And that's when I remember when you guys furnished it back up. And
Yeah.
it was still like nothing was being paid. Probably
Yeah.
you guys were adding bills to it, but
Yeah.
there was like, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, it
You
was
guys
so
were kinda-
bad, and
yeah.
I think Sergio helped us a lot in that sense too, because I remember him like getting a cable
He-
to hook it up to the house that was emptied right next to us, so we could have water. He connected it to our faucet, so we could have water
Yeah.
throughout the house. I mean, it was that bad. We had no water, no electricity, nothing. Eventually, we did put electricity on, but that was the only thing that we ended up doing.
Yeah, when we came back the second time to the house, we ended up just, getting, water and electricity.
Uh-huh.
In the meantime, while we got the first foreclosure, like eviction sign, and then after that, we had to move out.
Yeah.
But I remember Sergio, he had a brain,
He
but
did.
he used it for like the
He was
wrong
very
things.
smart.
Yeah.
I remember the
Very
guy,
smart.
yeah.
Yeah, so what he ended up doing, kind of what you were mentioning, is like he got a water hose, like a regular water hose.
He
So
had a
atta-
brain.
Yeah, so he attached it to the neighbor's house that's also was empty. So he hooked it up, and then he hooked up the second end, and he tied an adapter into our water faucet.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just, he turned it on and it was pumping water throughout the whole time.
Throughout the whole house.
Yeah, throughout
so-
the whole house. So
Yeah,
I was
we
like,
were-
whoa, holy shit! Like I would have never thought.
Such an engineer.
Yeah, so
No.
he
And then
ended-
he broke into the meter to the electricity meter too. They came in and turned it off several times, but he did end up opening the meter so we could have electricity. Like he was smart.
Yeah.
Like he used it for the wrong reasons, but like, he was very smart.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
he was.
it was because
I mean,
of
he
him.
is, you
Yeah.
know, he's still around.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he's not dead. Sometimes it feels like that, but no, he's not dead. He's just not here per se. But yeah, like that was my relationship that I guess I lasted the longest. But I mean, mind you, I was 14, and then he left, and it was because of that reason that I stayed, because for the same reasons that y'all hear, like how he helped us out in our times of needs and stuff like that. So I felt obligated to be with him, and I also needed him. I mean, mind you, I was already going through abandonment issues with my dad and all the traumas that my dad had put me through. So a guy who was actually doing something for me, that was like, that was the real. Like, I wanted just to be with him. Like, I feel like I needed his affection and his approval. I guess that was the reason I stayed with Sergio. With Hernan,
But let's go back to Sergio.
Mm-hmm.
How was the relationship though? Like you say you were just with him because you needed him, but like in actuality, like how was your guys' relationship? Like how did you guys
well, I tell him this sometimes when we do talk. We hardly talk now, like maybe like once every year or so. But now more frequently, but
because he's talking to his daughter.
yeah, so he's talking to Eliana. But for the longest, I've told him, I'm like, maybe if we would have been just friends, we would have been the best friends, because he is the type of guy who has like that upbeat attitude, and I have that like I'll go with the flow kind of scenario. So randomly he would be like, "Oh, let's go fishing." I'm like, "Yes." I have no idea what fishing was, but I'm like, "Yes, let's do it." Or he would be like, "Oh, let's go to a flea market." I'm like, "Sure, let's do it." And I had, I just wanted someone to sort of bring me out of my shell, and he did that the best. And and I think that's the reason that we would have been good friends, but that was it, because he was toxic as hell, and I was so naive. Like he was like literally like my first actual boyfriend. So I mean, all the like other guys I went out with weren't a lot, but maybe like 2 other guys. They were just like, oh, kissy kissy, lovey, but like there was no actual relationship there. I can't even say there were actual relationships, but Sergio was like my real relationship. And
So when you say toxic though, like you want to explain what you mean by like he was
well,
toxic?
yeah, I was very, since little, like my family members and my family would just call me sonrisas, because I was very flirty. I would always be laughing. It was just my way of it's still my way of like sort of covering everything that I'm going through.
It's like a mask.
Yes, you know, I'm literally the definition of like the happy, like the happy mask and the behind like tears. That was literally me.
Like the smile now, cry later.
Yes, yeah, I was literally that. The only times that I actually cry was when I was like going through my traumas and stuff like that with my dad. But other than that, I was like, nobody would know that I was going through shit in my house, because I was like that. I would always be the clown, you know. I was trying to make people laugh. Now I realize that it's because I was so sad that I hated seeing people other sad. You know, so I'll always be laughing, always. Like, that's just the signature in me, that I'm always laughing. And he didn't like that very much, because the same reasons I will have, like, a lot of friends. So slowly and surely, he would sort of push everyone away from me. You know, he'd be like, oh, you know, that girl's talking about you, or she kind of hit on me. Or, like, guys, I was like, oh, you know, I don't really like how the way he's talking. So I was only allowed. And I didn't realize this until later in life, that I realized that all the guys that I've gone out with eventually kind of push everyone around me away. So they'd be my center of attention. And Sergio had a way of doing that without me noticing. But the other guys, I catched
you were
them.
also very young.
Yeah, that
so,
too.
You know, it's just like you could have, I don't know. Our brains work different.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I kind of put, I mean, I didn't really want anyone at that time around me, because I was going through my stuff too, but he made sure that he was like the center of my attention, and he did it very flawlessly, and I didn't catch it until like later on in
Weren't
life.
you like best friends with his brother?
Yes. His brother went to kindergarten with me, so that was the reason I met Sergio. At the beginning, I didn't like Sergio at all, you know, because I was like, hey, you know, hi. And he completely he ignored me, which I was not used to, because people usually talk to me because the way I am, I'm very approachable. But he kind of looked at me from like down up, and then he said, like that. What? So at the beginning, I was like, oh hell no, like that's not the type of attention I get. You know, I usually get the opposite attention. So that kind of like made me hate him. But as like time went on, because I was a friend with his brother, he was my best friend. Like, we were everywhere together. Like, I realized how like happy and friendly and outgoing and spontaneous he was, and I kind of attached myself to that, and it became worse when my dad left. Because when my dad left, he kind of pushed me out of like that, like, I'm not gonna be sad. I mean, I was already worried by my mom, because my mom was going kind of crazy at that time. So he kind of helped me have a little bit of the burden, and still have like that sense of happiness in me that I was kind of washing away when my dad left. So yeah, he was really good at that.
Yeah, I remember. I used to. I've told you before, but things that we went through when we were like, you know, fresh out of high school or still in high school there, when my dad left, it kind of like puts us in a bad situations where, you know, my mom wasn't a full time, you know, worker. She didn't have really a job. She would clean houses, but it would be hard, like a, you know, day by day basis, and
to keep up with everything.
Yeah, it was rough. It was tough, and he was always kind of like around. So with him being around, and you know, his ingenuity, you can say, helped us get through, you know, certain events, certain, you know, situations where, you know, we were struggling financially. So he was there, you know. I remember that clearly, emotionally for you both. I think because it created like, you know, a sense of like security for both of you guys. You know, with me is like I was always like cloud nine, you know, I'm like in my own world. But it did. He was.
Yeah, it's so weird, huh? Yeah. Doesn't seem like him.
Yeah, but you know, it helped us get through. It helped us get by. So in a situation like that, and I mean, with situations like that, I kind of like, in a sense, like, you know, appreciate what he did, you know, to a certain extent, of course. But yeah, that's all I can really say. Like, you know, going back into.
How did you feel about him though? Like,
honestly, I never trusted him.
Yeah, he never did.
It's just like there's so many things he did. Like, you know,
so many things.
Yes, he helped us a lot, but he also did a lot of things that I'm like, if it wasn't because of you, I would not be talking to him. For example, when we were in a studio, he broke into a little studio and he stole from us. Yeah. So I'm like, you know, I know it was him.
Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, remember we were in the little studio?
What studio?
And the studio where we had the rats and behind that garage.
Oh, our pet rats.
Yeah, our pet rats. Our ratatouille.
He broke into our studio.
Yeah.
What did he steal from us?
My grills. And the reason I know is because like one day, you know, I go to work, come back, and like I couldn't find him for like hella days. I couldn't find him, and then he came around with you, and he around the time
he had money.
No, he didn't have money. He had them in the glove department. So I'm like, what the? I'm missing these. I've been missing these for hella long.
What else did he take?
Like little things, you know, like little things here and there.
It's a petty theft.
Yeah, so you know, there's a saying in Español, mañoso. You know, like que le pican las manos. So that's just the way he always was.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean he's a bad person, but when there's somebody like that, you can't trust. You know, it's like, okay, well, he stole from me once. What else are you not gonna do? You know, but it kind of like levels out. Like, yeah, he did a lot of good. You know, he was also a mechanic, so he helped a lot with like, you know, car problems. You know, he did a lot of things that were expensive. You know, he did it in a couple hours and they were done. But he also did like shit like that. Like, you know, like it was just so much like. You know, from the, like kind of like when you mentioned, like, you know, it started off rocky because, you know, during the time, like she ran away with him. You know, I'm like, bro, like the previous boyfriend, I forgot his name, the Sureño guy. Pedro. Yeah, Pedro. He came around and he was always around around my dad, my mom. You know, he kind of introduced himself and my dad got a liking to him. We would live in Oakland. The guy used to live in Richmond, so he would go to Oakland just to like kick it. Yeah. And it wasn't even like kick it with her. It was like kick it with the family. And I remember like one of the things with him is like he was like a cholo. So he was like deep down into his roots, you know, like the Mexican roots. So we would watch Chavo del Ocho and that dude would crack up. You know, him and my dad would crack up. I'm like, well, I guess that's cool. They ended up breaking up and then she started going out with Sergio. Yeah. And it started off rocky. Like it started off bad. They ran away. Yeah. You were gone for like 2 days?
No. I mean, I started going out with Pedro. It didn't last long. I mean,
No.
let me mind you. Like he was like the introduction of the real bad thing. So I went out with Pedro and it lasted like maybe like 3-4 weeks, give or take.
It was more, probably like 3 months.
No, because I was going out with Joshi before that.
Oh my God, girl.
But Joshi, I'm telling you, this is puppy love because I love Joshi in the sense of like he was like the best of the best, you know. But it was like it was just like kiss. Same thing with Pedro. I mean, it was kiss, but Pedro actually came to the house. Joshi was like, oh, you know, he's my kid's love. I mean, I went out with him when I was in elementary school. So, no, it was middle school. I don't remember.
Elementary, middle school.
Yeah, something like that. So we went in the breaking up in high school. And then I started going with Pedro. Pedro didn't last long, like at all. It was like sort of like the air that kind of passed in, and then went throughout the door. And then before Sergio came another guy, but I lasted with him like for 2 weeks, and then I met Sergio.
Okay. Yeah, and then like I guess my mom and my dad were both like, you know, you need some time. Don't jump right away. And she didn't like that, and you know, Sergio took her. I remember we were living in Oakland. Oscar, she was hanging out with Oscar, was Sergio's brother, and they dropped her off at the BART. And from BART, we never, you know, she never came home.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, that was bad. Bad.
Yeah, I remember.
And you know what the bad thing is? That we literally took off in the car, and then we went to Fresno. In the same car, we came back the same day because, like, my parents threatened Sergio because he was older than me. Mind you, Sergio's much older than me. I was a minor; he was an adult already. So my parents were like, "Oh, we're gonna report this to we're gonna report this to the cops." So then Sergio's parents,
that could have been kidnapping.
It was actually I mean, it's crazy how Mexican families just take it so lightly. I mean, that's criminal. He was literally an adult, and I was like a child. I was 14 years old, so I was a child. Like,
and how old was he?
Either 20 or 18.
Well, Pedro was older.
He was older, but
Pedro was 22, 23. And my parents were okay with it.
Okay with it.
You know?
Yeah, that's what I'm telling you. We take it so lightly. We take it so lightly.
I mean, they took it so lightly. I bet you if your daughter came home with a 20-year-old like, bro, at the age of 14, you'd be like, get the fuck out of my house.
Yes. But my parents were so okay with it. I mean, they weren't tripping about it.
I mean, I think we've talked about that before. It's like, I guess it's kind of weird because like if you go to probably Mexico, I don't know if it happens so much now. I mean, whatever. Mm-hmm. But back in the day, it's like it was the norm. Yeah. It's like your husband or the person that you're, investing time with or whatever, that person is like pretty much older than you. It's like you're 15 and they're like 25. And it's normal.
It's normal.
It was normal.
But it's criminal.
He has a terreno. He has
I'll give you a cow. Let me get your daughter. That's like kind of scenario we used to see in Mexico. And I think in some places we still see it, not just in Mexico, in a lot of parts of the world. But it's not okay. I mean, if Eliana came over here and she's like, Mom, my boyfriend's like an adult and I'm still a child, I'm like, okay, what's his name? What's his birthday? Where he lives? I'm reporting this shit to the cops because this is not okay. Yeah. But that was sort of like our norm at that time. So I was going out with older men, being a child, and I mean, I was already trying to leave home because I couldn't stand being next to my dad. I mean, that's the reality. I couldn't. I mean, it was terrifying. So every time I would go home, it was just terrifying to me that I would come home and nobody would be there, just my dad. So at that time, I was like, you know what? This is the norm. I mean, like I told her, oh, he hits me. He does a whole bunch of stuff, which is not necessarily true because my dad at that time, he had already recovered from his addictions. Yeah. But it was just my way out. So I took it. I'm like, let's go. So I left with him one day and I came back on the night because my dad was threatening me to call the cops. So we were forced to come back that same day. We didn't even stay there the night. And then we came back and then I think we lasted together like for maybe 2 years and then my dad left. Then once my dad left, he moved in with us basically. Yeah.
So that's when I met you guys.
Yeah. So I remember around that time, the day that it happened, like we all were freaking out. Like everybody was like freaking out, like, okay, what's going on? So I remember clearly we were in a house.
You mean the kidnapping?
Yeah, the kidnapping. I was upstairs because there was a second floor. My mom, I came down and she's starting to freak out. So it kind of went through stages. I remember clearly. It went through okay, she should be here any minute now. They dropped her off 30 minutes ago. Oh, shit, okay, well, because from Richmond to Fruitvale, where we used to get off in BART, it was like maybe 25 to 30 minutes, from BART. So, okay, well, they dropped her off 30 minutes ago. Okay, well, maybe she missed the first one and she had to wait for the second one. We added another 15 minutes. Okay, it's been an hour. Okay, what's going on? So it went through stages of, okay,
denial.
We're getting a little worried, and then it went from stages like, okay, now we're panicking, and now after the panic, my mom has her nervios, nervios, right?
Panic attacks.
Yeah, she has little small panic attacks. And she's
now.
I know she's calling now. I called earlier because I want to see how he was doing.
But she's good.
Yeah, okay. Because she was gonna get operated today, right?
Yeah, she got surgery, but it came out fine. She's out of surgery now.
All right, cool. So it went from that stage to she was freaking out. She was bawling out. My dad was panicking. Didn't know how to calm her down. I was panicking. I said, well, I don't know what to do. I'm over there trying to give her water and she's not even taking it. I was we were all panicking. And then after a while, it went from panicking to slowly calming down. And then came the anger. Yeah. Then we're okay, she fucking ran away. We already knew who it was. It was pretty obvious.
This is kind of this is weird because I've been listening to this podcast recently. It's called Crime Junkies. Crime Junkie. And I was just telling Mario today, that podcast has a lot of episodes of minors being abducted or going missing and all this stuff. So it's bringing me back to episodes that I've listened. And I'm just thinking, you're really lucky that he was, I mean, if I can just, I don't know if there's any other way I can describe it, but he was such a coward to kind of bring you back and didn't do anything bad to you instead of bringing you back, that was really lucky because, you kind of, you were in danger. Yeah. Your family was freaking out. They didn't know what the hell was going to happen to you. It's you're lucky you came back alive.
Yeah.
And it wasn't one of those crazy situations, but I was just talking to Aiden about it. I was listening to an episode and I was just, kind of explaining to him, just not in detail or anything, but just like kind of letting him know, like sometimes, your parents, they don't let you do things because not to keep you away from like socializing, but maybe we get a gut feeling that something's not right, and we're gonna say no sometimes, and you gotta respect that, because whatever, in the episode the girl didn't listen or whatever, but
sort of like the La Rosa de Guadalupe kind of scenarios.
I don't know how I watched that forever.
But so going back to that, but even after the whole, we're pissed at him, we don't want to see him. Like my dad was like, I don't want to fucking see him in this house, or I'm gonna kill him or whatever. They decided like the most important thing was to be supportive. Yeah. So they eventually like let them have a relationship. But that
error.
See, and that's a
big error.
That's a
that's a red flag.
Him. That's the thing about him too. It's like, even though they felt that way about him, and then Mario even says he didn't trust him. It's like he also kind of had a way.
Oh yeah.
With like being forgiven.
But he had a way to manipulate situations to his favor, and that's anybody who knows him would know how he is. But you keep me very pissed. I mean, to the point where he did something really bad to me, right? And I forgive him for it. And he made it. He would like have a way of sort of like he would forget everything he would do, and in a way, kind of like transmit that to you.
Do you think that maybe he had like mental health issues? Oh,
he definitely did. I mean, I think we all do. I do. But he definitely had mental health issues, only because, he went through a lot of stuff in his... I mean, that's not an excuse, I know, but, I think
it could be like a trauma... reaction to like a trauma or something, right?
Yeah. And I think he had it, but he went the wrong way about it. So, I mean, some people just go to... like have anxiety, depression, like myself and stuff like that. But other people they
act on it
differently, and they take the bad side of like their traumas instead of getting the good side and the sad parts. Some people rather like go into like really bad phases. That's how criminals are made and stuff.
Like, it's crazy. Like there's like the brain. Your brain reacts differently.
Yeah. And I think we all like pass traumas differently, and he took the bad side of it. And I mean, I'm not here to judge him, because I'm in no shape or form to judge him, but that's the type of person he was. And he still is. I mean, he still manipulates things to his favor, which is, that's his thing. But he had his way with words. He was very good with his words.
Well, I am in a position to judge him, so I will. No, but kind of going back to what you were saying is like, in a sense, he was probably manipulative to you. Yeah. And maybe like my mom.
Yeah.
But I know with my dad, it was more about him trying to like redeem himself with you, try to make up for like his mistakes.
Yeah.
So in a way, he sensed like, he had to be supportive. He had to like, twist his hand in order to have a okay relationship with you. And with me, the same thing. It was like with me and him, like if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't like want to be cool with him. I wouldn't want to be around him at all. So it's like, in a sense, like, he was also very lucky that because you had a lot of support, he was able to be around everybody else. But if he wasn't with you, like no one would, none of us would like socialize with him, because, like personally me, I don't know about my mom or my dad, but like with me, I wouldn't like, try to.
I think my mom was more easy to manipulate in that sense, but I think my dad, he was trying to make up for his wrongdoings.
Yeah,
that's sort of what Mario was saying. That's why I think when parents are very like going through like something, like, for example, for me, when I did something like very bad and stuff like that, I try not to transmit that to Eliana for the same reason, because then she'll get away with stuff that she's not allowed to get away with, and that's what happened to me. My dad was trying to like sort of compensate for his wrongdoings, and I would get away with a lot of stuff. And when he left, then like there was no one to control me, like literally no one. So the person who took sort of control over my life was Sergio, and that's the reason I stayed with him so many years. And I'm not gonna say I regret it, because that would mean I would regret Eliana, but I do wish that
Things were different.
Yeah, things were different in that. Maybe I would have given Eliana a dad who would be more in the picture than with him. But that's my only regret, that Eliana doesn't have her father figure with her. But we all make mistakes and stuff like that. Maybe one day he'll make up for that with her. Not with me, I don't really care, but with her.
Yeah, I think that's really important. I mean, for me, I grew up without my dad in the picture. Like, I grew up, and it's funny because, like, the story behind it, it's like, I grew up very resentful towards my father because I felt like it was always his fault. Like, I didn't know the story. Like, I had no idea, like, why they had left each other, like, or why he was never in the picture. Like, I didn't know anything. So I grew up and I just resented him. I didn't care for him. I don't care for him now, but it's for very different reasons. He actually fucked up, but it was, I didn't know. And then finally when I knew that it was my mom kind of took off and left and just didn't really tell him where we were going, and just like, he also kind of like in his own way kind of like, okay, well, you left, so I'm not gonna support you if you're leaving me. It was kind of like a very immature way of them ending things, and I was stuck in the middle, like, not having a father figure, and it's very difficult for a young girl growing up, and like seeing the people around you, going to school and like their fathers drop them off. Well, why is my dad not here? So it's just like having those questions. I mean, I know she talks to him now, which is great because at least she knows that he exists, that he's there. Yeah. And I think just having that communication is really important.
And I always try to picture Sergio as a good father to her, even though like he's a shitty dad, but because he really doesn't call unless he needs to. But, I always tell her, I'm like, no, your dad loves you. And your dad, the reason that he doesn't call you is because it's very expensive to call. And I try to picture him in a good sense because, it's bad. Like, I hated my dad. I mean, I was with my dad in the same house, but I hated him. I mean, and I know what hate feels. I mean, to a point where, like, every touch of my dad, I felt like he was stabbing me in a way he was. But like I hated him. I didn't want Eliana to have that hate in her heart. So I always picture her, but she has had those phases where she's like, why isn't my dad here with me? Why isn't he dropping me off in school? Where is he? He doesn't love me. And that's sad because, it's not their fault. It's my fault for giving her a shitty dad.
Well, don't see it like that. Don't look at it that way. I mean,
you can't take the blame for something that he's doing, So
yeah,
it's
but even then, I am still responsible for her, and like I did make the decision to give her that father, and in a way, it sort of is my fault. I'm not gonna put all the blame on me because then that would be bad, which in some cases I do sometimes, but I am held responsible for it in a certain way. So sometimes I overcompensate Eliana, and then I realize like, oh no, I'm overcompensating. I can't do this, and I spoil her way too much. But I think that flexibility needs to exist in her. So sometimes I try as much to not remind her that her father's not here, because if I put that in her head a lot, or your dad is not here, your dad is here, then she's gonna go through the trauma. But maybe just giving her as much as love as I can and as much discipline as I can, then it'll like compensate for that. And eventually her dad will be in her picture, hopefully, one day.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, one of the things, kind of going back to what you said about her asking questions, I remember we were living in the apartment. And I picked her up from somewhere. Not too sure where it was, but she kind of was asking that question. It was like, not asking the question, but saying like, my dad doesn't love me. And I heard her because, like, wait, well, what did she usually say? And she told me like, oh, my dad doesn't love me. I'm like, why would you say that? I asked her like, why would you say that? It's like, well, because he's not here, and like, and I told her like, don't say that, it's because like, I remember during that time is like, I can remember from experience like you in particular, and you, how not having a proper role model, like a male figure, can like mess with your head, right? So and I told her like, like don't say that, like, and I kind of explained to her like right now he's not here because he can't, it's like, and I told her like, he wasn't born here, kind of give him that story, like right now he's in Mexico. He wasn't born here, so he can't travel back and forth. He has to have like a passport, and I kind of explained, like, it was like very like complex, but I was trying to get her to like, like realize it's like
understand that it wasn't that simple. Like,
yeah, it wasn't that simple. And I told her like, right, with me, if I was to go to Mexico right now, I can't come back. And that's the thing with him. Like, he's in Mexico and he can't come back. Yeah. So, like, and it was, I told her the same thing. Like, he loves you. He just can't be here. He's stuck over there. And it kind of got her, it kind of did get her like, a little more calmer. But those are things like where we can't, like me or you, we can't, cover for him. Yeah. We can't blame, ourselves. Like you're kind of saying, like, it's my fault. Like, I give him the, that father. We can't blame ourselves for that. That's all on him. But what we can do is try to like, try to divert it. Try to explain
the reality
of
yeah. I mean, but I think all kids eventually do get it. That eventually, if Sergio doesn't put the effort, I mean, Eliana eventually will like grow up. Like, she'll understand that her dad doesn't give a damn. But I don't want to be the one to tell her that. Like, I want her to be like, eventually she'll get to the maturity where she's like, okay, my mom did as much as she could, and my dad is nowhere in the picture. I hope that never does come to that, but if he doesn't put the effort to call and to be in some form or shape in his daughter's life, then that will be on him. Yeah. And I hope that Liana doesn't have enough hate in her heart with him. I hope that she does become very forgiving, but kind of knowing her, I don't think so. But I hope that it never does come to that. But with that being said, I can't control her emotions, but I do try as much as to protect her as much as we can. I mean, we can't protect our children from everything, but at least in that sense, I'm trying to protect her from it. But yeah, that was my relationship with Sergio, and it's still going on.
And doesn't he have? He has another daughter that's around the same age as her.
Yes, he has. Which sometimes I feel bad because she's not as in the picture as maybe Eliana is, because Eliana sees every once a year her grandparents on her dad's side, but Camila doesn't see anything. I mean. Before, when I was pregnant of Eliana, I was giving birth of Eliana. He was basically getting the other girl pregnant because Eliana and Camila are like 9 months apart, close enough to be like, oh, okay, yeah. So, so Eliana's born, then Camila was born, which that's criminal too because she was a minor. Yeah, yeah, she was a minor. But
how old were you when you had Eliana?
I don't remember. I guess 20,
okay,
19, something like that.
Yeah.
No, 19, I think.
So then the other girl was a minor at that time.
Oh yeah, she was.
Oh wow, he has problems.
He does. But yeah, I think she was. I don't know. I can't remember. But I know that they were going out when she was still a minor, like me. But yeah, Camila is also his daughter. But the weird thing is that he's in Mexico, where like everything's super expensive, but he's taking care of another kid that's not his kid. So he has a stepdaughter in Mexico. And le dice hija and ella papá. I mean, and that sometimes that gets me a little bitter because it's like, okay, I mean, you had time to kind of watch this little girl grow up, but you didn't have time during like the time where like your daughter needed you, kindergarten, preschool. Like, you were nowhere to be found. Like, nowhere. I mean, to the point where he would block me from Facebook. Like, there was like a point where like 5 years where he didn't even call. And like nothing. Like, no señales de humo, nothing.
Well, maybe since he's older now, maybe he's trying to compensate for his mistakes.
I hope so.
And I mean,
for his daughter's sake, I guess.
For the little girl too. I mean, we don't know her, so it's just like, we don't know if her father's in the picture, but regardless of the situation, it's like,
it's not her fault. But what I'm saying is that if you had time to do all of this stuff, you could have taken 5 minutes from like a month
absolutely.
to call your daughter, but he chose not to.
Yeah.
Like you said, maybe he's older now. He's an old guy. So I hope that he has learned his from mistakes.
Yeah. Hopefully, you can only hope.
We can only hope. Yeah, but that was my relationship with Sergio. Long story short.
Yeah, I remember. I mean, I haven't on the podcast so far. I haven't spoken about my dad or my parents split up, but kind of like you kind of touched on it a little bit. My dad was like, he had his problems as well. He wasn't a perfect person. My mom as well, but I think things that have happened in our past has kind of made us who we are now. Yeah. At least with me in particular, like it made me. I got a lot of good things about my dad. I got a lot of bad things about my dad, in a sense where like I see a lot of the bad things and like I'm not gonna do that. You learn like this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm not gonna do. So yeah, with Sergio coming into the picture, we were all in a sense in need. So we kind of like, we kind of let him be around, and he did his stuff, and like same thing with him, like. He's not a perfect person. I don't dislike him, I really don't. I just don't trust him, But I know, like, with my dad, he made his mistakes. Yeah. Sergio made his mistakes. All I can say and hope for is like kind of what you guys said, like, that he's growing up and he's mature. Because, at the end of the day, I wouldn't, it'd be kind of sad if you see like a 50-year-old, hella immature. 50-year-old, all immature.
Which they are. There's a lot of them walking around.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but I just hope that things kind of change up with that. But
it's crazy how we see like things different because my brother was very attached to my dad and to my mom in a sense, and I was kind of like the outcast, kind of being in the room all the day, like doing whatever, destroying my stuffed animals. But it's crazy how kids see like different points of view of our parents in different senses, because you can see the really good stuff. I really have very little memories from my dad, like very good memories from my dad. I honestly, maybe it's because I kind of push the bad things, but I see all the bad stuff with my dad.
That could also be a trauma response.
You think so?
I think I'm not an expert, so anything I say is just my opinion. That's why I say you think. I didn't say
Yeah, We just entered a special segment with Dr. Leal. Keep going.
It's just I've read that I did take psychology classes, so I'm a little bit of an
me too. That makes too much.
Half a semester.
So I've read that it's like sometimes like. You kind of your brain blocks things like it's a trauma response. Like your brain blocks like the good, and you can only remember the bad. 'Cause I've done the same thing. It's like I've touched a little bit on the fact that me and my mom have had a troubling relationship. I don't think I've gotten into detail, and I don't wish to, but there's a lot of me for a while that I was, not remembering the good things. I couldn't remember anything good. It's just I remembered all the bad, and I just carried all the bad. And I mean, in a sense, I feel like I told you the other day when we were talking. It's like I think we all need to seek some help. I think we all need some therapy to like. Get all of whatever we've carried throughout our life or whatever to get it all out. We need to speak to someone. So I feel like, in a way that you don't remember the good things. There could have been good things. I don't know. Like in your case, I wasn't there. I can't say.
The thing is that, for example, say per se, right? Like one of the stuff, my brother would remember like my dad, like going with us to like one dance event, and he would remember, like my dad was like playing with everybody wanted to be around him, and all I remember is my dad being passed out drunk in the bus, like high as hell, and like my dad screaming at me in the bathroom, like, oh, it's your fault, like sort of like each event that my brother kind of remembers differently. I remember the bad part because I kind of took the bad side in it. I was kind of more aware of what my mom was going through because I was so attached to my mom. I'm still very attached to my mom, but like I would sort of see more of what she would go through because I was like literally behind her all the time. And my brother was very attached to my dad, and he was very kind of free spirited, like, oh, I'm gonna go to soccer practice, I'm gonna go to the mountain with my maestro and stuff like that. And I was very at home all the time. I still am. I don't like going to the streets. I don't know, something wrong with me, but I hate going to to the shopping mall, going to the park and stuff. No, I hate going out. I'd rather be at home, unless I have to, then I'll go out. But no, that was me since little. Like I would rather be at home. So I would see very much all the bad events at home, while my brother like was more distracted with activities, and that's great. I mean, I'm not saying that's bad. I mean, it's great, and he saved himself from a lot of trauma, but I didn't, And I mean, I saw all the bad parts.
One of the things that I mentioned to Graciela is that kind of like sometimes people like block the good things. Unconsciously, you always see the negative stuff.
That's what I just said.
Yeah, kind of like what you just said, right? Uh-huh. I did the same thing, but with the bad parts. Because I saw a lot of things, and my head blocked it. And I'm going to tell you, it's like there were so many things that I blocked in my head that, like, years later, I'm like, holy fuck. I remember that. Happen. So I'm going to give you guys 3 examples. Number 1 is we were broke. My dad was struggling. My mom was struggling. We went to Mervyn's. Mervyn's.
Yeah, you
Montgomery
mentioned.
Wards.
Oh, yeah.
Montgomery Wards. There was a Target there. The Richmond Target.
If you're younger, then you won't remember.
If you're 18, 16, you're not going to remember. But for all the older folks out there, I'm pretty sure you're going to remember Montgomery Wards. It's where the new Target is at, but it was on that little shopping center. My parents were struggling. So my dad took us to Montgomery Wards to shop for clothes. And I put clothes underneath, to try them on. And then I put my old clothes on top. Yeah. And we walked out. So
that's what he made you guys do.
Yeah. And I don't remember that. I blocked that from my head for so many years until I remember. I remember that. And it's like with me is like I remember a lot of things that I blocked. The second one I remember it was I remember I was a little older and my dad was already sobering up, so he had a lot of that. How do you call it? Is a term for it? Like, it's kind of like not the relapse, but the
La malilla, they call it in Spanish.
It's like the detox kind of. Yeah. You go through like a stage in your life where, or not
it's
a
like
stage.
you're fiending, right?
Yeah, you're fiending. So he went through that, and I remember this one time.
It's called withdrawals.
Yes, there you go.
Yeah, there you go. So he was going through that. And that summer I was going to work with him. He would pay me and all. And at that day I didn't want to go. I was like, I'm tired. I don't want to go. He beat the fuck out of me. Yeah. Like, he beat my ass so bad that I had a belt mark where he hit me. I had it for like a whole week.
Yeah. We were living in Oakland, right?
No, it was in Richmond, an apartment.
No, I remember another episode. That was bad. That was really bad. I don't know what he did. It must have not been such a big deal. But we were in Oakland, and I remember my dad getting home so mad. One of those days where I'm like, oh my God, my dad is high as hell. Because like that face that he had as soon as he came home, it was bad. But he came with him. And I remember I think he was in the truck with him. And then when he came home, my dad was very mad. I remember see my dad stomp. Like my brother went he ran into the room, and I remember my dad stomping right behind him, and me and my mom right behind my dad. And literally, I still remember, and it breaks my heart. It really does. And me and my mom from the other room, we were banging that door like, Dad, don't hit him. My brother was crying so bad.
See, I blocked that. I don't remember that.
Yeah, and me and my mom were in tears, Chet. I mean, like we were breaking that door one way or another. And I remember Mario being in the back of the room, like, and we were just yelling, like, don't hit him, don't hit him. Like, we could hear Mario crying. My dad was beating the fuck out of him. And then as soon as, like, we broke into the room, yo me puse enfrente de my brother. Y también mi mom, like, my mom was trying to calm my dad, but my dad was the beast. He was mad. He hardly got to that point. He was seeing red. Yes, it hardly got to that point, but when he got into that point, it was bad. There was no stopping. And my dad was a big guy. I mean, compared to my mom, everyone's big, right? But my dad was a big guy. He was like chubby. He was very chubby. He was working in construction. He was very big.
My dad's big bones. He's bulky.
He's very bulky.
Fit. Because when he was younger, he used to work in picking up like trailer tires. So he earned like a body.
So a hit of him to a teenager, it was bad.
Yeah.
And I remember my brother just screaming. I mean, those little things that I remember that sometimes Mario kind of blocks. Kind of that's the difference between like me and him. Like I block all the good stuff, and you know, in a sense,
this is the thing about Mario though. He's very optimistic.
Mm-hmm.
Like even like for the past couple of days, we were kind of, you know,
We
we
went through
were
something.
kind of mad at each other for the past 2 days. Like I'm going through something, and I feel
Uh-huh.
like he wasn't understanding what I was going through because he was being so optimistic about it, and he was like, "Oh, you know, it's okay. It's for the best." And I was like, "I know it's for the best, but it doesn't change the way that I feel. Like I am struggling with it, you know, like I'm not going to get into it, but it's just like I'm struggling with it." It got to the point where like the other night I was at work and he's texting me like, "Hey, you know, like he's always like, "Hey, how's work?" You know, and I'm like, "You know what? I don't mean to offend you, but I'm like, I was very emotional that day." And I was like, "I don't really want to talk to you right now." So
Yeah.
I turned my phone off, and I didn't turn it back on till later. And then he's like, "Okay, sorry," you know. And then I get home, and like, I kind of broke down. That's when I started crying. Like I cried like a baby.
Yeah.
Very emotional.
You know, it's just, I think his optimism allows him to kind of see things in a different way and try to like, I don't know.
Try to get the good things out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, maybe like for someone like you, it's like you carry a lot of the weight.
Yeah.
You don't,
Yeah.
you know, you just,
Yeah.
Yeah, and it kind of was going with that. I remember one of the things that I blocked for a long time, and kind of like the third one, was when there was a soccer tournament, and he was high as fuck. I don't know what he was on, but he was under the influence. And I remember like all the games that I played, he was just yelling at me, you know, like, "Oh, run faster, do this, do that, don't be," in Spanish, like, "No. No seas inútil," you know, stuff like that. He would just insult me.
Yeah.
And I remember my mom, and I remember her face. She was like embarrassed. She was like, you know, I was telling him to stop. But, you know, he was going through his phase. And I remember that for like a long time until Aiden started playing soccer. And I got mad. I'm like, "Aiden, move, you know, like, you know, come on, bro, like walk, run, you know, don't walk, don't just stand there." So it kind of like I remembered, you know, like I remember that tournament. It was in Central. There was like a community, and right in the middle is a park. So we had a tournament there, and he was like, you know, I remember he was like sweaty. It wasn't even hot. It was just like a regular day, and he was sweaty. He was just going through his thing, and he was throwing hella shit at me, you know, like for no reason. You know, I was playing good, we were winning, but he was in his head, he was in this mode that, you know, it didn't allow him to do anything else besides that. You know, so it's just like so many things that he did do. And I think I'll get to it on like more into details when the different episode. But basically, is a lot of things that it wasn't like all flowers and sunshine for me. It's just that I did block out a lot of things, and in a sense, I feel like that kind of helped me. Not be so. Maybe that helped me be optimistic. It helped me be, a person that looks at things, different way. I looked at it one way and like, oh, this is a, half full bottle, instead of a half empty bottle. So I don't know. I just feel like maybe that could have been a situation where, it helped me in a sense, in a way, I mean, yeah. But you're right.
Helped you like psychologically, not affect you like in that way. But like, if I can say one thing, I think we've all gone through our experiences, like, growing up that have, been a little bit traumatizing for us. But, we've all decided not to go that route with our children. I feel like you are not doing those same things or, whatever you went through. Mario as a father, like he's, in my opinion, he's the greatest father out there.
Yeah.
He's
pretty there.
And like me, not to be like, I'm perfect, but I'm perfect. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm kidding. No, but it's just, I am aware of the things that, caused, stuff and my feelings, and I'm aware that I don't want to project that onto my children. You know?
Yeah.
And yeah, so with that being said, another thing that I wanted to talk to you about was, well, we kind of mentioned it, Hernan, that's his name.
Hernan, oh
so
God.
kind of going from, Sergio.
That was my bad episode.
Yeah, because I don't, this is the thing, like, what people might not know is that me and you have been on and off for a long time. So there was times where we stopped talking for each other for years.
Yeah.
There was a time where I stopped talking to my mom for years. Not a year, but like maybe a year or so. So it's like, with the guy heading on, I only got to talk to him like during like the last stages where I was barely like talking to you again.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, like, one of the things that I've learned with me after high school, after like, I started doing my life, was I want to stay away from all the bullshit. I want to stay away from drama. And, it's kind of fucked up to say, but like a lot of my family, like I stayed away, a lot of my uncles, a lot of my aunties, because, I was always judged. Not all of them. Some of them have been like really cool, real supportive. There's a number of them, but there's been family that have, in a sense, bullied me, you know? And when you're like a 10-year-old, 9-year-old, and you hear shit like that, you remember, like, once I'm older, once I have the power to stay away from it, I'm going to stay away. Mm-hmm. And, in a sense, it's kind of like, I do feel fucked up that I've stayed away from certain people because it wasn't precisely them. It was the people connected to them that I stayed away. So in a sense, like, I
think we live a very out of the picture life.
Yeah. Yeah. I kind of like being isolated in a sense, like the less you know about me, the less you can criticize me, the more happy I'll be.
And that has worked.
Yeah. Because, like when I see like cousins, aunts or uncles, like I can say hi to him, and I'd be like, hey, long time, how you been? And I'll sincerely mean it. I'll be happy to see them, but that's because I've stayed away, because I've stayed and kept my distance. Like I said, it's not everybody. I can name a few, but I'm not going to put anybody on the spot because he didn't mention my name, so it must be me, right? So, but there's been people that I just had to stay away, and amongst that, you were having problems with my mom because of Sergio. You were having trouble with my mom because of the guy hitting on. Yeah. So that's where our fallouts came. That's where I decided, like, I don't want any drama right now. During the time, like, me and Graciela were kind of, in a sense, going through our stuff. So I was like, I need my level head to just be concentrating on us, So it's like, it was hard. It was hard. Like, for example, when I stayed away from my mom, it was probably like 2 of the years, like 1 or 2 years, like the roughest in my life. Because, it was just hard to know that, that I wasn't talking to her.
The thing is, your mom has always been really supportive of you.
Of me?
I mean, in a sense, like...
Not really. We can agree to disagree.
I feel like she... In her way, maybe it's not the best way in the way that you would want it to be, but I do feel like your mom, she tries to not give you her back. Like, she tries to like...
I think she overcompensates for also her mistakes as well. But I feel like my mother and I we talked about this. We have a very rocky relationship. But coming back to where, like, Hernan comes involved, those were one of my really bad episodes. And those are the episodes that I kind of wish that I've never happened. But those are, it just happened. That was my toxic episode, I guess you could kind of say. I was going through, I guess, everything kind of just I mean, I hated my mom at that time, something that I never thought I was going to say, because my mother was always like there as growing up. But, during that episode, something really bad happened. That me and her had a really bad fallout to the point where I started talking to her again after a while. But that always was in the picture for me. Like, that never went away from me. So during the time of Hernan, just to make sure, like, not confuse anyone, I started doing drugs during the time that I was with him. And we're not talking about weed. I mean, I always used to smoke weed every once in a while back in the days, but talking about bad drugs like crystal, to be exact. I was always insecure about me because like how like a chubby I was at that time. I wasn't chubby, but I was kind of like, I was a little overweight.
Self-conscious.
Yeah, I was very self-conscious about it. And, one of my friends back in Chevron when I was working, he told me, oh, you can lose a lot of weight, doing crystal. You just have to watch it and, do it once a week. It'll take your hunger away. You'll be able to be more active. So me being curious and me saying, you know what, fuck the world, I started doing crystal because Hernan was selling it. So, it just came very easy, kind of situation.
It was accessible.
It was very accessible. So, I was like stealing a little bit of here and there for my own personal use. And then it got really bad to a point where like I became very addicted to it, to a point where we had to do it every day. And the problem with that being was that Eliana was there all the time. Not like there when we were using, but she was like always there in the picture. Sometimes I would, leave her in the room and I would go to the bathroom and use, and when I was having withdrawals, it was bad because I would be very aggressive. I wanted to sleep all the time. I would have like no pay attention to her. So it got to a point where I was like, okay, we can't do this anymore. I'm like, I literally cannot do this anymore. I'm becoming a very irresponsible mother. I don't want to do this anymore. So I reached out to Dan, my mother-in-law, and told her, you know what, me and Hernan are using. Of course, being a mother-in-law, being, I want to support my child, she started blaming me, saying, oh, you're the one who got my son into this when it was the other way around. Yeah. And she called my mom. And when she called my mom.
We were there.
Yeah, when she called my mom, it's bad. Like, my mom automatically being traumatized from what my dad used to do, she went, boop, like I was already going to withdrawals. I was trying to do it myself. And that day, precisely when she came to confront me, I was during my first day of withdrawals. And I was not in a good shape, to say the least. I was not. I mean, I was trembling. I was already in a bad spot. And I got very aggressive with my mom, with my aunt, which I respect all the time. But at that day, all I saw was red because I needed to use so badly. And I was very disrespectful to my mom. And I was very disrespectful. And I kind of took everything that I had inside me out that day, and that's when me and Mario had a fallout because he saw the bad side of me towards my mom. And he didn't really like it, and things got really rocky afterward. I remember when we were little, we wouldn't even disrespect our parents. I mean, to a point where like we would call usted. At that time, I was calling my mom tú. I was like, estaba tuteando, because I didn't respect her anymore. I really didn't.
Yeah. I remember, I don't remember the situation or how it happened. My mom called and like, oh, this is happening. Like, okay, I'm on my way. But I remember we had just kind of started talking.
Yeah. And
after that, we went into the car. I'm like, I can't do this. Like, it's too much. I don't want to go through this. Like, I got my own shit. So I was like, we kind of falled out after that. And I mean, we there's a lot of things that I would like to say to you, regarding certain situations, but it's already an hour and I don't want to go for 3 hours. But one of the things I do want to mention is like,
it's okay. We got all night.
No, I mean, technically do, but I think the memory card only has 4 hours left because I haven't changed it. But, one of the things that I've learned through certain situations, like, is you need to stay away sometimes to like be mentally healthy.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about like I'm gonna delete everybody from Facebook, for my own mental, like, no, all that crap. No, I'm talking more like, sometimes you gotta get yourself away from like negativity. You need to get yourself away from like, excessive drama. And I kind of had to do that with you, because it was like, I got kids, I need to concentrate on them. And then around the time it was like, I got work. I'm in a, pretty stressful already environment over there. So I was like, it's just too much shit, and I did stay away from you for a while. And with those times and those you can say relapses, we kind of like drifted apart. When it comes to like
it got really bad.
Yeah.
Huh?
Like the separation, it got really bad.
Yeah.
Hold on, I'm gonna fix the mic real quick.
Yeah, I think it was very bad for for my mom, for me. I think it got her in a very like tough position. But to be quite honest, like for most of it, I was out of it. So I can only remember like hear bits and things here.
You're talking about the
Separation.
the day that they went to talk to you?
Yeah, yeah.
No, I'm talking about in general. Like your guys' like fallout. It got really bad.
Oh yeah.
And like you said, it was really bad for your mom because I remember, I think it was last year for her birthday.
Her birthday.
Her birthday.
We're already living here.
You at that point, like I think all of us, we still weren't really on speaking terms, and you brought her a cake. And we were so badly not on speaking terms that it's like you weren't even coming inside the house.
Yeah.
Like you weren't even coming here. And you sang happy birthday to her outside of the house with her cake. And she broke down when she came back inside the house. She was inside the room and she was just crying so bad.
Oh.
Yeah, and
I mean, I had to go to work too. So like after singing "Happy Birthday," I left to work. So I think I think my mom has felt all my emotions at once, and I think that's what's heartbreaking for her because of the reason that she hasn't wanted to let go and gonna compensate for her wrongdoings. I think she has like seen me at my worst and not want to let go. And I'm grateful for her for that. But, one day me and him talked and he said, "You're dragging my mom."
Yeah.
And that hurt.
Yeah. Yeah, because, one of the things that...
And it's true. I mean, I'm not saying that you were wrong because it's true. I mean, she was literally seeing me at my worst. And it was breaking her. But... when you're going through depression at that time, I wasn't in it. Like I've been sober for like, how old is Eliana? Like me like 8 years now. Yeah, I've been sober for like 8 years. So it was.
And you did it all on your own.
Yeah, I did it. I did it on my own. So it's not that I was like withdrawals or anything, but it was because like I was letting all my emotions in. I wasn't drinking. I mean, I had to be completely clean. From like drinking, smoking weed, everything. So I was kind of like taking in all the feelings. And it took me for like maybe 5 years, maybe 6 years even, to finally come out of depression. Because for the most of the time, I was just sleeping. It was hard waking up. I mean, it was painful waking up. It's sort of like literally my body was telling me just go to sleep, and my mind was saying, "No, dude, you gotta pay bills." So I was literally dragging to myself. We had this
conversation before too.
Yeah,
when Eliana was like having health issues.
Yeah,
at that point, I collapsed. So it was just painful, like waking up in the mornings and just realizing like I have to do this again. And I tell this to Eliana. She doesn't understand that. She's still too little. But like, she literally saved me from like, committing suicide, because all the time that I told myself, like, I can't do this anymore, I would look at her and be like, but who's going to take care of you? Yeah. Like, you have no one.
Yeah. And I think during these times that, we had our fallouts and we kind of came back and started like, kind of like talking again. I've had like maybe three serious conversations with you, because, to a certain extent,
I remember 2. I could be wrong.
Yeah. I think it was 2.
This might be number 3.
Yeah. This could be number 3.
Yeah. But I remember once I was talking to you about Ellie in particular. Yeah. We were outside of Caliber.
Yeah.
And I talked to you because like what I was seeing as is like, you know, that's not what she should be displaying. You know, that's not what she needs to, you know, that's not what she's requiring you to do. You know, and I had to like really had a sit down conversation, and like, you know, it was tough. Like it was rough for me like to do something like that because, you know, I'm like, I'm not your dad, you know, I'm only your brother. But I had to, in a sense, like put you in your place because, you know, like I needed you to like kind of like snap out of it. You know, the route that you were going, and I can't really remember what the contents of it was, but how to do.
My mom was worried because like for the longest, for like maybe a year, I had an infected toe, and something that I didn't want to get treated because, you know, to me like that pain was just a reminder of like pain, physical pain, instead of worrying about the rest. Because it was already hard enough to go. I hate going to the hospital, but another thing was that it was just a reminder, like I'm worrying about the pain, you know, other things that I was occupying my mind with other shit instead of worrying, like facing reality that I needed to fucking snap out of my depression. But like,
but see,
true.
This is the thing. You're saying snap out, but it's not as easy as like snapping out of depression.
We're Mexicans. It has to be that easy.
But it's not that easy.
I know.
Like I don't know. I mean, I feel like we're touching a very sensitive subject right now. Like we're talking about mental health.
Yeah.
And, you know, and it goes back to like, we literally just talked about this like 2 days ago. It's like, I really honestly think that, you know, I don't know. I mean, like you say, we're Mexican. It's just like, it just goes away. Yeah, but
no,
we need to seek some help.
Yeah.
Like
at that time, I didn't realize
it's not as easy as snapping out. No. It's just like.
I mean, it didn't work for me snapping out for like 5 years, but you know, I guess in a sense, like that's just the background that we have. Like we figure, like get your shit together, just move the hell on.
Yeah.
You know, but it didn't come that easy. It really didn't. I mean, it got so bad to a point where I would only go to work and sort of calculate how much I'm gonna need for the month for my mom and Eliana and Suhei, and then the rest I didn't give a damn about. I mean, I wouldn't buy myself clothes. I wouldn't buy myself, and I was literally sleeping on the streets. I would just make sure that Eliana and my mom and Suhei had somewhere to stay. Like, I really didn't give a damn about me. I swear, there was days where I would sleep in the car and be like, you know what? If today somebody killed me, fine. I don't care. I mean, it got to that point because I know I wasn't strong enough to, and it sounds bad, but I wasn't strong enough to be selfish enough to take my own life because I knew Eliana needed me. But I said, maybe if somebody did it for me, you know, it's not my fault. And I'm okay with it. It sounds sad, but that's true. I mean, there was days where I would drop off my mom and Suhei and would literally walk in Marina and be like, somebody just fucking kill me already. I can't do this shit. But my talk with Mario really helped because I realized that I'm not selfish enough to leave my mom on the streets or Eliana on the streets. So I was like, if I don't do this for me, at least I have to do it for them. So that pushed me to be like, you know what? I'm going to get my GED. I'm going to do all this shit. I'm going to go back to college. I'm going to, you know, get another job. And I did. I mean, it took maybe 4 weeks after that, I got my first job, and then I got my second job. I was working 3 jobs at a time, and then I started going back. I left one job because I started going back to school. I got my GED. I got my then I started going back to college, and then I dropped out because of all this shit that happens. But you know, I got my shit together because I knew that if I couldn't do it for myself, because I obviously couldn't do it for myself, then I needed to do it for Eliana and for my mom and Suhei. And then that kind of just paved the way to sort of be where I am right now, where I'm like, you know, I'm not struggling financially anymore like I used to back in the days. Obviously, I still want more. This is not enough for me, but it's like very different from back in the days.
You kind of found like a drive. You kind of found like an ambition. Like you said, you want more. This isn't it.
Yeah, and in a way, that talk that I had with my brother made me do a video of myself of the situation I was, because I did do a video that it's probably somewhere on my other phone, and I just said everything I needed to say. And then after finishing the video that I did, and I saw the condition that I was, where like I was not, like, you can physically see my face how like there was no hope. And I'm like, I can't be like this anymore. Like, this is what Eliana sees in me. This is what she sees every day that I pick her up. And I'm like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I can't. So I got my shit together. And like you said, I'm not saying I'm cured from depression, because it's not. I would be lying to you. Like, I still struggle to wake up in the mornings and like do everything again. It still is, and more right now that I'm going through other shit. But it sort of put me in like in auto drive. I don't know how to explain it, but sort of like in a state where I'm like constantly thinking what my next step is going to be. Before, I didn't used to think of that. I would just think of like, let me just, for today, what do I need? Because I want to go back to bed, you know. And now it's more like, I don't want to go to bed because I have to do this tomorrow, you know.
I have stuff to do. I have something to look forward to.
Yes, and that's sort of what's been pushing me. Each day gets harder because you have to constantly be like making new goals, but you know, goals change, things change. But you know, that's sort of the motivation that I've taken lately. Right now, it's my weight loss. But you know, who knows what tomorrow's gonna be? Mm-hmm. You know, that's sort of the things that have helped me in a way. I'm not saying this is a cure, because it's not. I still think that, like you said last time, like I need therapy, because there's days when, you know, it's really bad. Yeah. And some people won't understand it because they don't know what depression is or anxiety, what it is. They're probably just thinking like, oh, you know, just fucking suck it up, dude. Like, how bad could it have been? It was bad.
But this is the thing. I'm pretty sure there's people out there that hide it.
Yeah.
That don't want to be open about it.
Yeah.
You know, are embarrassed to be open about it.
Yeah.
And there's more of us out there that, you know, need to speak to someone.
Yeah.
So it's nothing to be ashamed of. Yeah. It's just, it happens.
In many cultures, it is shameful, though.
Yeah,
it is,
but not here. not in this room. It's not. You know.
Yeah, I know. With me, I seem like someone that, you know, never went through like a lot, right? Mm-hmm. But I do think that we're in a world where, if you're in a city, like a high populated city, say for example San Francisco, on a Saturday, Sunday, you know, before COVID, you see like a bunch of people walking around shopping. Like, if you were to say like, okay, let me see how many of these people need therapy, 99% of them would need therapy. You know, I think myself, I would need therapy for certain things that I still have bottled up. Some need it more than I do. But I think we live in a world where
I think some of us cope with it differently.
Yeah.
Cope with our traumas differently, and
and I feel like I'm probably one of those people that maybe cope with it better, you know. But you know, reality is like everybody needs therapy. It's you know, something.
Let's not say better. Let's say different.
Yeah.
Because, you know, that's kind of
that's
kind of judgment. That sounds kind of judgmental. Like, oh, I'm better than you. No, more like differently.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. You know. Yeah. So yeah, you're right. But you know, and it's kind of like what I was telling you earlier. Like, you know, we've had our things, you know, and in a sense, for me to keep my, you know, sane, I had to stay away, you know. And I think it was kind of rough for us kind of to get back on track where we used to be. All I know is now going forward, like even our last fallout, you know, when we still live in an apartment, it was like, it was avoidable. And I talked to you before, after that, like it was avoidable. You know, I think
there was times where even I got involved, and I got involved for his sake. And, you know, I may have come across like I'm just a fucking bitch. And it's it's all been like this whole, like you said, stuff like could have been avoidable. And at the end of the day, it's like we all have to support each other, and like we're family, we're here for each other, which is, I'm gonna keep coming back to this, which is why I told you the other day, you're in a position right now to seek, some kind of assistance.
Yeah.
And, you have our support, like, what you have our support.
Yeah.
It's like you can't, you I don't know. I can't even find my words right now. Sorry. It's just,
here's the thing.
I want you to know that.
To look for like, if you want to buy a blouse or a shirt or whatever, you know where to go. If you want to find like pants or whatever, you know where to go. Shoes, you know where to go. But when it comes to mental, like sort of seeking the help that you need, it's very hard because it's kind of everywhere and nowhere. If I'm not representing it wrong, but I hope I'm not. But if you go to your doctor and tell them, you know what, I'm going through this, it's very hard for them to tell you, oh, you know what, go and see this person because they're going to help you. No, they tell you, oh, do you need help with that? I'm like, yes, I'm telling you I need help, and I've had this conversation with doctors. I'm like, I'm going through this and I'm going through depression. I had like suicide, I've been planning my own suicides and things like that. And they tell me, oh, you need help with that. I'm like, no shit. Of course I need help with that. I'm like, where are you going to send me? They don't send me anywhere, and then you hear online, like, get help, like the one you told me. And I look into it and they're like, oh, we're going to help you with, talking and stuff like that. But I'm like, wait, we need medication. I mean, I need medication. I mean, it's obvious I do. I'm like, where do I go for that? It's sort of like
you hear the kids running.
Like you have so much like options, and at the same time you have no options because mental health.
Well, this is the thing. Again, I'm not an expert, but I think you need to speak to someone before you get diagnosed with something, and then they decide you need medication.
Yeah,
you know what I
but
mean?
I did used to. I mean, coming back from that, like I think it was sixth grade. Was it sixth grade where I got like therapy done, and they told me, I'm like, oh, you got chronic depression. I'm like, thanks. Like, what do we do with that? My dad was like, they were telling me, oh, you're gonna send you here because you need medication. As soon as my dad heard medication, he's like, no, we're getting the hell out of here.
The Mexican mentality.
Yeah, they're like, no, you're not gonna get medication. I'm not gonna drug her. We're out. We're out of here.
You're gonna go shut them up?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, see, back then, that's what happened. But you need to do this for yourself. Like now,
Yeah.
like you need to do it for you.
Yeah.
Like your dad may have made his choice about not, fully supporting you.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know what his train of thought was. I'm not here to judge him, but this is where you do this for you because you need it, and you know that your daughter is going to need a better version of you.
Yeah.
Because you're everything she has.
Yeah.
And she's learning everything from her mom.
That's true. I can agree with that. And like we were talking later, like I'm gonna try to get help, and then not, then we're gonna go another route. Right now with COVID and shit, it's really hard, but I'm sure there's options there.
There is. I don't think you should stop. And I mean, I don't know if like anybody that does listen to us, and you have any resources, anything that can help
in the right direction.
I mean, for all of us,
Yeah.
just let us know.
Yeah.
I think at this point it's like anything that anyone specific that anyone can recommend. Mm-hmm. I think that's what you're seeking, right? Just
yeah. I mean, I know at this point, like, I will have to pay, but like I said, that's not an option anymore. I mean, like, it's, if I can't keep putting off like my own health issues, because I know it's also stopping me from pursuing other shit. Maybe if I if I had gotten help a while ago, I would be in a better position than I am now. But because of my health issues, then I've been putting a lot of stuff. I've been procrastinating a lot, and it's also because of depression. depression sucks, bro. It sucks. Like, it literally paralyzes you and doesn't paralyze you at the same time. Sort of like,
It's like a mental paralysis.
sort of like, it's like your function. It's like you're there, but you're not really there. You know, like, you're processing all your emotions, but you're not processing it at all. Like, you're not learning from them. You're literally just passing through the emotions as you go. I mean, like, at some point you're like gotta give in. You're like, okay, well, like, when is this shit gonna start? Like, stop, but it doesn't ever stop. So, yeah, depression sucks.
Yeah, I know. With me, my personal experience with therapy was kind of short lived. I remember when I worked at a McDonald's and I got robbed. I had to apply for the U visa, and then one of the things I had to go to get therapy, or at least talk to a therapist, and kind of like they have to evaluate, see if like it was that traumatizing for me to get escalated to that, into the U visa. There's a process to it, right? So I went. The person that was helping me with the case, gave me a number I can call, make an appointment, and I went. And I remember I was talking to the person that was
The therapist.
Yeah, the therapist. She was helping me. She was asking like basic questions, like, okay, what happened? Explain to me the situation. And I was explaining to her like this happened years, way down in the future. I was sitting down with a therapist, and she was telling me to describe it to her, and I did. And I remember when it happened. I got robbed. I got a gun stuck in my head. It's eyelash hair. Lint. And it happened. I got robbed. Oh well, cops came. The owners came. It went whatever way.
You were on the news.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
Was he?
There was like they were the news people or whatever. They were like recording the area or whatever, and like through the windows, I saw Mario in the news. Like a quick little clip. It's 15 minutes of fame.
Yeah, okay.
So that whole thing happened.
Not even because like I'm his sister. I didn't even know about this like a year later after. Like they're like, oh yeah, your brother got robbed. I'm like, did he? I'm like, when did this shit happen? I mean, we had a fallout at that time too. Yeah, so like I wasn't actually there. But I mean, he wasn't that famous.
And it was on his birthday.
Yeah, it was on my birthday.
Shut up, for real.
It was like hella. It was unreal.
They're like, happy birthday, motherfucker.
For a while, we thought like his birthday was freaking cursed.
Yeah.
Every year on his birthday, there was some shit that would happen to us.
Yeah. No way. Really?
Every year.
I remember one year the car broke down on us. The truck broke down on us. I don't know what it was. It was just kind of weird.
It was just like, I was not looking forward to your birthday. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and we forgot about it eventually. But so the thing with that situation, it happened. The police left, news reporters left, everybody left. We opened back in business, and I was there, and I kept working.
Shut up! Yeah. Your boss made you do that?
Yeah,
that's criminal.
Well, the thing is.
Did they ask you if you're okay? You're
this is the thing. Okay. I'm not gonna. This is the thing. Around that time, there was a store manager that I was not really cool with. The situation was my.
Can I still sue them?
Nah, it's too late now. They moved on. They're not even at McDonald's anymore. But the way that happened is the maintenance guy got hit with the gun as he was exiting the restaurant because. Early morning, like around 5 or 6 or whatever it was, he goes out and cleans the parking lot. That was a daily routine. So as he was getting out with his hose,
5 in the morning.
Yeah, as he was getting out with his hose to go clean the parking lot, the guy was hiding behind the car, ran, pistol whipped him, blood covered. He goes towards me, he points the gun, and I'm emptying out the safe, whatever, blah blah blah. The supervisor asked the store manager, "Okay, anybody that was here, they don't have to be here; they can go home." So everybody that was there, they were sent home. Me, he didn't ask me, hey, you okay? He's like, oh, you're okay, right? You're okay. You just finished your shift. Like that. But the other ones were sent home. I'm like,
oh, hell no.
I guess I'll stay, So I stayed the rest of my shift.
Was it who I think it was?
Yeah.
Fuck you.
Yeah, they do. I
you know who you are.
I see him
from time to time. I know who you are.
Yeah, I see him from time to time, and it's just so much bad experience with that guy. I can't even say hi to him. But
Oh yeah, I've seen too.
yeah,
Knowing how Mario is, yeah, I'm sure
Oh,
he
yeah,
doesn't play high.
yeah.
Mario's stone. I mean, he's a stone. When he
Yeah.
because like he wants to be like, you know, uncivil and like not talk to one, he really is not gonna talk to you.
He will go the whole mile.
Yes, I mean,
He will make eye contact with you
and be like, yeah.
I never saw it. Oh,
Let me see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's stone. I mean, when his mind is set and not talking to someone, he's not gonna talk to them no matter what you do and what you say. You could be dying on the floor, and he doesn't give a shit.
damn.
Yeah, no, it's true.
That's true. I'm telling you.
Damn.
Yeah.
That is not exaggeration. That is true.
Yeah, I can hold a grudge.
mess with
Definitely.
Mario.
He can.
Yeah, and I've talked about this before in a different episode, how I can hold grudges. But what I was kind of getting to is like, you know, I finished my rest of my shift. The next day I opened again and I went on my day. And when I was talking to this therapist, she kind of was asking me all these questions. And then she asked deeper questions like, oh, you know, do you feel like, you're like, no, not really. I mean, and this is the thing with a situation like that, kind of traumatizing, you do certain behaviors that you didn't know you were doing. And then she started telling me like, oh, you know, this and that. And I told her, well,
That's
do
where
remember.
the whole PTSD came
Yeah.
from.
And I remember like, well,
Is that what it's called?
PTSD. Yeah.
Post-traumatic
distress.
Yeah.
Yeah. So one of the things that I noticed is like, she asked a question. I was like, well, I don't mind working there. I can work there perfectly fine. But like what I do notice that when I open, I kind of have to rush inside, you know, and I kind of
really?
like I get my keys, like, okay, I get my keys. I'm ready. I have the key ready. I go outside out of the truck and run in there and, you know, lock it right away. You know, I close the door right away. And it's like something I was doing unconsciously. And she asked a question and then she kind of like elaborated more. So basically she went into details on the question. And one of the things that I've noted that I found out is that I started displaying certain behaviors that I wasn't aware that I was doing.
They're outside.
For example, I was at night, I would kind of run. You know, I would run into the house or I would run into the car. That's
this was when
because
we're in the apartment. If it was dark,
in the studio in on 19th Street. No, not 19th.
We were in the apartment.
No, but no. When I was describing was when I was working at Denny's, and I would have to like get up in the morning to go to Denny's. And so as I was commuting from Richmond to Oakland, I had to wake up like an hour and a half earlier, and I would run to the car. You know, even though
You
nothing
guys
was wrong.
realize this turned into a therapy session?
Yeah,
It kind of did, huh?
Yeah.
I think it started that way. Regardless, I mean, if we are here like expressing all of our post-traumatic distresses and our traumas and our depression and anxiety.
So to make it short, she asked me questions. I answered them, and it got me thinking like all the things that I was already displaying, and I just started crying. You know, I unconsciously I cried. Like I don't know why I felt like I had to cry, but describing what the consequences were because of that incident made me like, you know, like cry. I was like, and I kind of just said it like I've always told myself that it was my fault that we got robbed. You know, I felt like I could have done something different. Like I could have told my maintenance guy, hey, don't go through this side, go through this side, you know? And she explained it like, well, this is the thing with that situation. You are going to blame yourself because, you know,
You were in charge
yeah,
at the time.
you know, you were in charge. And it's kind of like I forgot what term she used, but basically saying it's kind of like it's my post-traumatic, you know, stress, like my PTSD that was kind of talking for me. So with that little thing, and I feel like that incident was like very small in a sense, but there's people out there that go through, you know, something worse than that.
Yeah.
And with me, my little situation like that, I can only imagine like a therapy session made me look at things differently. And since then, moved away from that.
Yeah.
It just made me think. Like, it just made me think. Like, just yesterday, was it yesterday? There was a mass shooting in San Jose.
Was there?
Yeah. It was like
not aware of that.
What was it, like at a terminal or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a mass shooting in San Jose. It just makes me think about like the way you're talking about it right now. It's like to you that was very minor, but you went through something. It's just like imagine all of those people that were around the area inside the building when this was happening, just like the amount of, like, if everyone after a traumatic event like went to seek therapy, like,
I mean, I don't know if you guys seen a video of a car that kind of collided with another car. There was like a big a big sound that made, sort of like a shooting. And I think this is in New York, and the whole street paralyzed. They were running from the hills thinking that there was a mass shooting somewhere, and there was no shooting. It was just a car that collided. But I think we are so prepared in a way. We're so like, we're just in suspense waiting for us to be in that situation that we eventually, like, the whole nation is in this post-traumatic distress, because it can happen anytime.
Yeah, because I mean, the kids yesterday.
I mean, yesterday with the kids, where we didn't want to send them to school because there was a threat that, you know, maybe it wasn't a big deal and stuff like that. But I personally decided, I'm like, yeah, I'm not gonna take the risk. You know, yeah, we're fucked up.
Yeah,
the whole nation's fucked.
That's what I mean. It's like, if we like that sounds to me kind of like PTSD. Yeah. People are running for their lives because they think it's something more serious. So it's like, we're all traumatized due to something. It's like, we all, like, okay, you're kind of an expert. You said 99% of those people need therapy. Yeah, I believe you now. Yeah. Everyone needs therapy.
Yes, everybody needs therapy.
Like, for the minorest thing, like the smallest thing, it's like we could all benefit.
Even little things. I consider this literally compared to everything else. But for example, me as growing up, one of my dad's horrible phases were that when he was high as hell, he would grab me, literally put me in the corner and start saying, everything's your fault. If your mom leaves me, everything's your fault. If something bad happens to me or to Mario or to your mom, it's your fault. It's your fault. So all this time, everything that happens, little things that happen to me, it's my fault. And I didn't even realize that until then maybe like a year ago. I'm like, why do I keep blaming shit myself? I mean, like, why do I keep doing this to myself? And it kind of brought me back. I'm like, what the hell is going on with me? And little things like that, like I was sort of like, I had to remember, like, why do I keep blaming shit myself? And it's because I was programmed as a little child. We're talking about Eliana's age. That everything was my fault, you know? And it's, I mean, we all process traumas like different ways. And little things, we can hurt our children. We were telling you that last time, remember? Like, little things can shape them to be horrible people or great people. Like, you just don't know.
Just like any little mistake, you can make any mistake, like unconsciously. Like, I don't know, just based on your own traumas, and like you just messed up your kids.
You just messed up your kids. Oh, then that's what they were gonna go bed with. Yeah. Like, did I make a serial killer today?
Yeah, it's kind of weird how that can happen as well.
Yeah.
Like, any little situation, you can really mess up a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a whole different subject in my opinion, but it's happened.
But I can relate to that, like what you're saying about like feeling guilty about things. I've shared before on another episode that I was,
you don't want to say it, don't say it.
I mean, I shared it already. Like, I was molested, and I think for a long time I don't want to share, like, whatever the details, but for a very long time, and it wasn't until last year when me and Mario went on like our anniversary vacation. Mm-hmm. We were driving to the San Bernardino forest, and we were in the car for hella long. So I was just talking and talking and talking. And I realized that, like, I'd been carrying a burden that's not mine.
Yeah.
It's like I've been feeling guilty for, other people's actions.
Yeah.
And I'd been carrying, like, hurt and, like,
that is very Scientology of yourself.
What?
Because Scientology believes that everything that happens to you is because you did something to provoke it.
Oh, no. I mean, it's not because I felt like I did it to provoke it. I felt like, I don't know, it's just, it just, I was carrying guilt. And I decided, like when we were driving, I was like, you know what? This isn't my guilt to carry.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just going to let that shit go.
Yeah.
Like, they can live with their actions. Like, I don't need to live with that. Like, I just live my life, and that's it.
How you do that? I still battle with that every day. I still feel like, some shit it's my fault, like, when we know I was molested too, but it's something that you keep carrying, especially when the person that you love kind of doubts you, and kind of blames you for what kind of happened, like, oh, you destroyed this, and it kind of sticks with you, like, maybe I did bring this on to me.
I mean, that's similarly to, like, why I felt, like, so much guilt. It's like I felt, what? Where are you going?
They're outside.
That's similarly to why I felt so much guilt. It's like, it happened, and, part of the reason why, like me and my mom were so rocky, it's like, I was never believed.
Yeah.
It's like, you didn't believe me, and then, you blame things on me. So,
I think if somebody ever told me, if Eliana ever told me, like, oh, this guy was touching me and stuff, I would probably be like, I'm going to cook his balls. I'm going to call the cops.
That's how I feel.
I feel like that would be my I
would see
my
red.
reaction. Yes, that would be my reaction. But I think on our experience, when we finally told the person that what was going on, I had to confront that person. And
Same.
That was traumatizing. Like, I couldn't even confront him. Like, all I did was just cry my ears out. And then the person was supposed to back me up and support me, didn't support me. And if anything, she kind of disbelieved. She was like, oh my God, I can't believe you really did this to her. Like, it was like she was expecting him to be like, of course not, she's lying, And I think in a way that's what she wanted to believe. Like, she wanted to hear for him to be like, no, she's lying to you. Like, this never happened. And I think that would have comforted her. But when she didn't hear those words, she was faced with, like, bam, she's really, like, telling the truth. And I think that's something that I can understand. The book that you gave me kind of made me understand that like, I can't take everything personal, because that was her trauma. Like, that's what she wanted to believe, because she didn't want to destroy something that for her was good. That was finally working out after, like, a long time. It was finally working out for her. And I think confronting reality and be like, you know what, everything is shitty, and everything that you did is gonna go to hell, because it's not gonna work out, because this person is bad. Was a bad person while he was, doing his stuff. And I think that's something that I can relate now. I mean, like, I can understand why that person didn't want to believe me, because that would have destroyed all her hard work, and I see this in other people when they were confronted with also, like, a child telling them, you know what, this person was doing this. I'm like, you're literally telling them the person that you thought was perfect, the person that you love, it's a bad person. And you're confronted with a devil, basically, and you don't want to believe it, And in Spanish, we tenemos un dicho que dice, no hay peor ciego que el que no quiere ver. And that's reality for many women. Like, they really don't want to see their spouses as horrible people. This is the person that you thought that was going to be there for you forever. And it turns out to be nothing but a monster. Every hard work that you put in the relationship is just going to go straight to hell, because it didn't work out. And that's the reality for people little girls who go through and have to face this. I mean, you're not facing just your demon. You're facing the person that's supporting that demon. Yeah. And that's something that they have to confront. So I learned not to take it personal. I learned that was her issue. My issue was just telling the truth, which I did. Mm-hmm. And the rest is up to them. And understanding that it's not you.
The rest.
Yeah, like, it wasn't you the problem. It was the rest of the people. And I learned that, and I can relate to it now. I can understand her pain, because thankfully, I hope I never have to go through that. But, I hope that Elena has a healthy and beautiful life, and she never has to go through any of this stuff, you know. But the reality is that a lot of women do face molestation and rape, and it's hard. It's hard. It's hard knowing that your child is going to be exposed to that.
And how do you?
That's something else where y'all could sleep on.
Yeah, and it's kind of like what you were mentioning earlier. I think it was a good segue. You know, sometimes you choose not to see things. You know, specifically the saying that you just said earlier is like you're kind of blind to a lot of things. The thing with Sergio, that was one of the things that I was kind of like, I was hoping.
We're going back to him now.
Yeah, it's kind of. I think that was one of our biggest fallouts, is because of that. I remember I didn't want you falling into that, you know, into that category where anything he did, you didn't see anything wrong.
Yeah.
Or you would forget so easily, and you would just go back to him. Like, that's one of the things that...
See, we're going to talk about Sergio today, and then we'll talk about other ones another time, because, like, we didn't have time for that. But I do remember you being very, very forgiving for a lot of the things that he did. I remember us having to go, you know, get you out of situations that he put you through. And it was very difficult. Like, it was very difficult for him. And I know the other day you told me, which I shared with him, that, like, you worry about how he sees you.
Yeah.
Like, you think about what he sees when he sees you.
Yeah.
Because I think you look up to him.
I do.
Like, he's your big brother, and you look up to him.
Yeah, and he knows that.
Yeah, he knows that. I don't think you've ever shied away from saying that out loud. So, you know, you look up to him, and it matters to you what he thinks when he sees you. So, and I think it was very hard for him. You know, I was there, even though, like I say, he's a very optimistic person. And he not only is he an optimistic person, but he's also a person that bottles up his feelings. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't like he was going to be like, oh my God, this is killing me. I'm so worried about her. Like, he doesn't vocalize that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. Like, I think the only person, and I think you said it before, that he's even like kind of like open with is with me. Like, with me, he's like feelings everywhere. Here you go. Yeah. But like with everyone else, it's like, he bottles it up. He bottles it up. So he was never gonna like be vocal about it. He was never gonna say it, but it not bothered him, but it affected him. Yeah. It was a time where he was very worried about you. Like, he worried, you know, I'm pretty sure like that never goes away. You're your family, you're his sister, you're his younger sister. Like, he was conditioned to look out for you when you guys were little. He was. Yeah. I think that my mom put a lot of pressure on him. I think we talked about that too, huh? Yeah. How, like, I think in Mexican culture, we're accustomed to telling the older kid, you're responsible for your siblings, younger than you. And he had that very, very in him. You know, we would go to school and he would make sure that I would go to class. I remember when I was going through my wannabe gang. Chola face. my wannabe chola face. Like, he would see me in the hall. He would like take my bandana. let's not re-hashtag right now. Let's not go through those embarrassing faces. But
it was la gata, la negra, la potrancota.
So he would see me like in the hallway, because like we're very close to age, you know. Of course he's older than me. He's old, but I'm still young.
We're close in age, but he's old.
He's older. But he would see me like in the hallway and stuff like that. He would see me with like a bandana or with, like, wearing, you know, my sweatpants on top of my jeans and like kind of bagging them and stuff. And he would just like tell me, oh, quítate eso, súbete los pantalones, or take that off. Or he would snatch my bandanas and stuff like that. So he had that very in him that he needed to protect me. So I'm very aware of that. And I think that was very hard for him too, because once once Sergio came into the picture, it's like everything was all about Sergio now. But Mario's the way he's always been, you know. Like, in a sense that he's very close when it comes to being verbal. Like, I'm more like, you know, I'm going to show you my affection no matter what. I'm like, I'm gonna hug you. I'm gonna kiss you. I don't give a fuck if you like it or not. And Mario was like, get the fuck away from me. So sometimes to get him mad, like I would literally grab him and hug him and kiss him, and he would fucking hit me. He would beat my ass because he did not like that. He did not like showing affection. But I was very like that. I remember I still have a picture of him like literally I was forcing him to kiss me. And he was like, he had the bitterest face ever. He was just a little kid. We're talking about Eliana's age and Ariana's. So, no, he did not like affection at all, much less being verbal when it comes to his feelings. But I've told you this many times. Like, Mario doesn't share feelings unless it's with you, because he doesn't share it with my mom. He doesn't share it with me. And sometimes it's hard trying to understand a person that doesn't talk. So... Yeah. So I can't.
He's aware of that.
Yeah.
So it's like, for most of my life, I've always been like, is he okay with this? And I knew he wasn't okay with it, but sometimes it's like I just had no other choice.
It's not like he's gonna say anything if he's not okay with it. So it's like he doesn't even talk.
But it's a mind game, because then I would worry. I mean, like, does he really? How does he see me? For example, now that I'm clean for 9 years, I've off 8 years. I'm putting more years each time, but close to 7 or 8 years that I've been clean. I'm constantly like, walking on eggshells with my mom and with him, like kind of seeking approval. Like, I need validation from my mom. I need approval from him. It's sort of like an on and off game. And I've told you this before. Like, sometimes I just want to send everything to hell and be like, you know what? I'm gonna get a tattoo, and I don't give a fuck what my mom says.
I mean, I told you the other day. Look at Mario. I mean, Mario's covered in tattoos. Does your mom like it? Absolutely not. She freaking hates it. She's told him, like, the last time he got a tattoo, she's like, I don't want to see you with another tattoo. What did he do? He got another tattoo. It's like, I think, I told you, I mean, I respect your mom. Yeah. Like, I love your mom. Like, it's kind of hard for me to vocalize that too. Like, I don't vocalize affection, love and affection if it's not to Mario and the kids and stuff. So it's difficult for me, but I care about your mom. I don't tell her, but I care about her. But I also think that you are an adult. Yeah. And if you can make your decisions.
The thing is that all the decisions that I've personally made until recently have been bad decisions. So sometimes I doubt myself. For example, like, being with Sergio was my decision. Being with Hernan was my decision. Doing drugs was my decision. Having Eliana was my decision. Dating a younger person, that was my decision too. So let's be real. Like, most of the decisions that I've made before until recently have been wrong decisions, and you stop losing trust in yourself. I'm like, am I really gonna make a good decision this time? I mean, like, I don't know. I think the only good decision that I have made was getting my GED and going back to college and getting my ass to work. Other than that, most of my decisions have been questioned by my mom and by everyone around me, because they have been bad decisions. So after a while, you're like, okay, maybe they do have a point. I'm like, every time I make a decision, I'm like, Mom, what do you think? Because I didn't even realize until I'm just saying it right now. But like, I constantly look on validation to my mom, because I'm scared that I'm gonna fuck up to a point where there's no return this time. So constant validation from my brother and from my mom, it's it's become a necessity more than a need. Because more like a need instead of necessity. I don't know, whichever.
Whichever makes sense.
Whichever's the strongest.
If you know.
Yeah, if you know.
So it's like I need that validation and that that approval.
It's not necessary, but you need it.
No, it's more like it's necessary. I think it's necessary at this point. I don't know. We're going back and forth, but whichever. It's just stronger as each time comes by. So it's that constant like afraid. Like,
what do you need from Mario?
I don't know, to speak.
I was kind of what you were saying earlier. I wanted to wait for you to finish.
It's kind of weird though because he's a very social guy.
No, he's social when it comes to other shit. For example, like
It's a moth.
Oh, I'm not scared of those. If it's a bee, then we're having trouble. But it's weird because like when it comes to talk about him with soccer, and we had that conversation like, oh fuck America, and I'm like, oh it's all about Chivas, even though I don't know half the players, but we can have that conversation. But when it comes to like the personal shit, he's stone. I mean, he's stone. He won't tell me how he feels, and I think it's also because just I don't know. I think I'm self-conscious about like speaking to him now. Than before, because before I didn't care because like I knew I wasn't worried about his approval. Now it's different. It's like I'm constantly like worried about like what I say and speak and do and act and dress and just be,
Around
before
him.
Yeah, it's before I didn't have that worriness. Before he knew I was fucking crazy. He knew I was gonna fucking get on his nerves, and I just didn't care. Now it's like I don't want to upset him because I don't want him to be mad. And it's different. Like before when we were brothers and sisters, like literally just like little kids, like, we would fight and I didn't care because I knew like 5 minutes he would be okay. Now I know he's not going to be okay 5 minutes later.
It's funny when we were kids, we used to fight a lot.
Yeah.
And we used to fight so much that this one time, by mere accident, she busted my eyebrow here.
You have a scar.
Yeah. And I remember she was trying to get a cobija, and right at the top there was a toy. So when she got the cobija, it fell, and I was laying down, and it cut me.
Yeah.
So, and I was hella bleeding. I remember like pouring. My mom was pissed. Like, you guys were fighting because we were always fighting.
It was an accident.
It was an accident. I'm like, no, it was actually an accident. But we were fighting so much that my mom's first instinct, you guys were fighting. Like, no, we weren't. No, I know you guys were because you always like, yeah. But kind of going back to what you were saying is like, I've told you this before in our last conversation is like, it's got to a point where, you're 29, right?
Yeah.
29. I'm 31.
Oh, hell no.
So
you don't ask a woman her age.
No, but I'm not 30, people. I'm not.
I'm good. I'm not asking. I'm stating as a difference. But you're a grown adult now. You're a grown woman. You're a grown person. I'm a grown adult. At this point in my life, like, I've told you this before, and I'll say it again. What you do with your life, that's all up to you.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna like get upset or nothing. Like, what's my priority right now? It's of course my kids, this one right here next to me, and my mom, because my mom is. Yeah. She's at that age where, unfortunately, it kind of sucks to say, but we're not going to have her too long. Yeah. I want to say not too long, but I want to say maybe 15, 20 years, Yeah. But still, that's kind of short for me, just kind of looking at that. And I just don't want,
You hope to have her for a long time.
Yeah, because not only do I need her emotionally, the kids need her, Yeah. So, I just want you to know that I don't, not to say like it sounds fucked up, but I don't care what you do. Like, there's no right or wrong with you. It's your life now. You're a grown person. You don't need my approval. All I want you to know is that I want you to make things easier for my mom, and for a long time before our last fallout, I didn't have anything against you. I didn't have a grudge. I was ready to talk to you. But I was kind of waiting for you to make the first step. Like, hey, let's sit down and talk. And that never happened. And we dragged it on for like years. And I told my mom once, like, what, I don't, because she's like, I know you hate your sister. I'm like, actually, I don't hate my sister. I don't. I told her, like, I don't hate her. And she's like, no, you do because you don't talk to her. Like, I can talk to her. It's just she's not willing to come over here and talk to me. And my mom was leaving to Texas for that staycation she was going. And I like, if I don't pull you right now, we're not going to talk about it. Yeah. So I pulled you and we talked about it. Right. So I don't even know where I was getting with this. I just kind of lost track of what I was saying.
You were just kind of letting her know that
you don't give a fuck.
She's an adult.
Oh yeah.
And she, you approve of any of her decisions. Yeah. She doesn't need your approval.
Yeah. Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't like, this is me from an outside looking in. Yeah. I mean, I'm also in, but I'm also out. I don't necessarily think that you're looking for his approval for stuff. I kind of get the sense that you're looking for that friend that you like. You just want to talk. You just want to be able to like communicate with him.
I just want to have, I guess, the sister and brother relationship that we used to have. You know, I know some things are we're not gonna get back, but you know, just that. How can I say, like, oh, it's your birthday, you know, let's go out and eat. You know, that's sort of civil kind of family dynamic that people have. We don't have that, you know. Not because we don't want to or because, you know, we're physically incapable of doing it. We just don't have it. We've been through so many shit in our life that I just want normality back into our lives. And that's something that I'm still constantly trying to get. And it's a slow process, you know, because our family has been fucked, man. Like, we've been through so many shit that to say that we're going to have normality in our lives, I hope that it one day is reachable. But you know, we just
and that's crazy to say because like we live under the same roof.
Yeah,
and it's like it's crazy to think that it's like you feel so close yet so far away.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's
I think I have more closeness and you know, I feel more approachable to you, Chela, than I do with Mario. Sometimes, you know, Mario, it's very intimidating. He's very intimidating. Like you're constantly, like I'm telling you, like I sometimes walking in eggshells because I don't know if he's gonna say something that he's very vocal and non-vocal. If I'm like very direct, you know, he says little words to go straight to the point, and sometimes he doesn't leave anything hanging in between. So my mama, like she drags it on. Like she'll say everything and say nothing at the same time. Mario's like, you know,
your mom speaks out of emotion.
Yeah,
and Mario speaks out of like logic. Like he's just like, okay. I have nothing else to say.
I have nothing to say, and you like,
and I leave no room for you to say anything else.
Yes, and sometimes that's very intimidating because you constantly look, okay, he's gonna say one word and then he's gonna like just get up, or he just completely ignore everything else you say. So I have to get something in there before he, you know, he just faces out, you know, and that's very intimidating when some person doesn't like really communicate with you. Like me and you have that like conversation where like you say something and I say something, and then
we can have a conversation.
Yeah, we can have like a civil conversation. I can't do that with Mario, but you know, that's something that I have with my dad. Even though me and my dad don't, we don't talk, and as much as I would love to. You know, this past years that, you know, I've been trying to heal myself from depression and stuff, like me and my dad talk, something that we didn't used to do back in the days. I can't have that with my mom because I say, Mommy, I need to talk to you, and she's already making her mind that I'm leaving, that I'm pregnant, that I'm gonna do whole hella shit, you know, like she's already like jumping into conclusions before like I actually say something out of my mouth. I can't have a civil conversation with them and be like, Bobby, I need to talk to you. Like I need, like, we need to talk, and be like, okay, mija, está bien, you know, like let's talk. And, you know, we'll have that conversation. He'll listen to me and be like, mija, okay, I understand your point of view, but you gotta do this and this and this and that. Mario and my mom, completely opposites, you know. She'll drag everything and say nothing. Mario will say something and just leave you like with no words. You know, it's like you can't win with any of them. Yeah. And that's something it's hard. It's hard for me, who I speak out of my elbows, you know, like I talk a lot.
Yeah, well, usually when I go going with facts is because I know I'm a win. So it's like there's no need for you to speak or nothing. You know, that's the way I take it. But no,
exactly my point.
Yeah,
it's like he just shut us off.
I hear you guys, but you guys don't make sense because I win. That's all I heard.
Because he already came to his conclusion. He's right. And everyone is wrong.
Anything you say, I'm not gonna listen.
Yeah,
exactly like that. Like we just talk for like hella ages. Like he just says something, he just blows us out of the way. Yeah. Exactly what I mean.
Yeah, no, but one of the things that we've talked about, in particular, you want a big family, right? So, what we've had when we were younger.
When he says you, he means Chela. I don't. I'm okay with one.
Yeah. What well, we
Yeah,
did-
because he's pointing, but nobody can see.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly. That's why I had to, tell them who
Yeah.
he's
But
talking about.
Well, one of the things that Graciela wants is like a big family, like a big, interaction, like a party, like have everybody around. And I kind of see that because when we were growing up,
Yeah.
we had a big family, like, my cousins. I mean, my grandma had like 30 kids, right?
Okay, you're exaggerating.
Well,
Pushing
almost. So
You're
like
pushing
almost.
it.
And it just happens to be
29 kids. Okay, 29.
Pushing it.
But we have a lot of uncles and a lot of uncles and a lot of aunts and a lot of cousins.
Yeah.
So growing up, we had like parties like crowded in people,
Yeah.
crowded in kids. So I got the sense of like a big family, big parties. So I kind of understand what you're.
So now you're exhausted. You're like, I don't want.
No. Al contrario, it's like I noticed. I can see how it feels to have like a big family, like to
Yeah.
kind of like socialize amongst us, each other. And when Graciela told me like, oh, I want a big family and like not just kids wise, but like be around with all our family, I was like, that's doable, but it's work. Because around that time, me and you, we weren't, in the best terms.
A lot of things have happened.
Yeah. And then Graciela and, her side of the family aren't also on good terms. But what we have now, it's, it can be bigger. I mean, like we have one on the way, but then we also have Victor and Vicky coming around.
Vic is leaving us though.
Well, yeah, but he'll be back. I mean, it's just, it'll be temporary. But, things like that we can't still do, and that's kind of going back, what I want is like, eventually to be stress-free. Yeah. I don't want any drama in amongst us, like big parties. We have a house, where we can throw a party. We can invite people, friends over.
Kai will eat everybody.
Yeah, if they fuck with us, then let's do that, Kai. So, it's funny.
I'm okay with that now. He likes me now.
When we moved into this neighborhood, like this is really safe. This, we have nice neighbors. We have,
most of them.
Well, yeah, most of them except that lady over there in the back. Yeah. But anyways, and then when Kai...
If you hear that, we're sorry.
Yeah.
No, we're not.
Yeah, no, we're not. But now that Kai is aggressive with strangers, I feel even more safer. That's what I was trying to get to. No, but, that's what I want, too. I want to, like...
You just want to be able to coexist with everyone.
Yeah.
I think we all kind of want that.
Yeah.
I think that's very mutual.
Yeah.
We all just want to be able to be around each other and not have any drama following us. Like, not have any, like, animosity, like, no bad feelings. Just, like, see you, how was your day? Oh, sometimes you just got to vent and talk about, like, stuff. I know your mom does that a lot with me. Like, she'll ask me like, hey, how was your day today? And if I had a rough day, I'll tell her, oh, today, this and this and this happened. Or, oh, today was an easy day. Like we had this and this and that, she asked me, and I think we all kind of need that. Like maybe sometimes just, I don't know, talk to each other.
And I don't, like, I never have this conversation with my mom. Usually if something goes on is because, Graciela tells her. Yeah. Oh, this happened, or this is what their boss.
She doesn't appreciate that very much, but because
she
doesn't really appreciate that much because, like, with me, I tell her everything. I try not to keep secrets with her because I eventually she's gonna find out. So I'm like, whatever. Just gonna tell her, come out with it. But she wants to hear from Mario too. Like, oh, how's your day? But everything that he knows from Mario is because of Chela.
Because I tell her.
Because she asked me, oh, how was work? Oh, it was good. I'm tired. And that's it.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't feel like... I try to keep work out of, the house. So if I'm having a bad day...
I don't know how he does that.
Huh?
I don't know how he does that. I mean, he has an ability that many people desire. I don't. I'm like hella dramatic.
He tells me, like, we talk about this stuff. Like,
but it also makes it easy because,
And then I go off and I snitch to your mom and be like, oh my God, so this... I'm just kidding. Like, this motherfucker said...
Mario needs a, let me tell you kind of scenario. And I'm like... And I need sort of like shut the fuck up scenario. Because I talk way too fucking much. I mean, like... I do.
I mean, you've been talking for 2 hours, so yeah, you do. You talk a lot.
Yeah. But that's not on me. That's also on both of y'all. Well, Chela, exactly. Because you're saying very little.
Yeah.
Well, this has been like our longest podcast so far,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if it's good, like I think that.
I think
You
we
can
touched
cut
on
out.
that.
You can cut half of it out.
Oh no, we don't edit. I just.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, I don't edit.
Everything's
So more.
going in.
Okay.
The only
That's
times I
good.
edit is to like make the clips for like the, like clips to post on Instagram.
Yeah.
This is one of the Joe Rogan type episodes.
Yeah,
Oh yeah. I love that dude.
yeah.
No, you don't. We don't.
At first, I was like, ew, and then I was like, okay, he ain't that bad.
No,
Yeah,
he's
he's-
cool. I like him.
Yeah. No, I know. There is a podcast, even
can
like
agree to agree
Tiger
on that.
Belly, Bad Friends. They edit things out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, nah, we're gonna go raw, and whatever
raw.
we talk about it, we just gonna post it.
Yeah. Okay.
Just no
I mean, we talked a lot about it.
good
Oh
stuff.
my god, I'm
You
kind of
guys might have to do this in 2 clips then, because it is kind of long.
No, I think I can post up to like 3 hours. Anything after that, I can do it in portions. So I can do 3 hours, and then another 2 hours, whatever I also have to put. So it can go in there. It don't matter.
Hopefully, people didn't get bored enough.
Nah, I don't think so. I think we had good conversations, good things to talk about.
We didn't touch the rest of my boyfriends, but because that would
No,
just be too
we're
much.
gonna get into it.
No.
You're gonna talk. You said you dated a guy that was younger than you. Let's go. Let's go there. Let's go there.
So yeah, I actually did want to talk about that. It's kind of what I was telling you about Sergio. Is like one of the things that I didn't want is for you to be like forgetful, be blind to certain things.
Yeah.
With this kid,
Miss the red flags.
Oh
with
God.
this kid, because it's a kid, it kind of was going through that. It would seem like it was going through that route.
Not really. The thing with I'm not gonna say his name because he doesn't speak English. I don't really care. The thing with Cesar was that I love him. I really do. He's a great guy and everything. But the problem with him is that he's so immature that
How old is he?
I don't want to say. I'm kind of embarrassed.
I mean,
He's 18, right?
No, I would never date an 18-year-old. That's way too young.
25, Mario.
So
We'll leave it up to your imagination.
yes, just know that he's legal and he's not 18.
Oh, he's 21 then. Right.
Sure.
The thing about him is that he's so how would I say immature in the sense that he doesn't know what he wants, or he does know what he wants, but he's not. His problem is that he cares too much what other people say, And the problem with that is that I live by this. I do. I do care what my family thinks and everything, but when it comes to loving the people that I want to love, that goes out the window. And my mom knows this, and I think that hurts her. But I wanted to be with him, and I know he wanted to be with me as well. The problem is that he's so mature that he's constantly worried. He's the youngest too. He's the baby of the family, so he's constantly worried about his family, and that makes him hurt me in a way that every time he wants to break up, he hurts me for me to get away from him. He regrets it afterwards, but it doesn't matter because he already hurt me in the first place. Before, as a kid, I would go out with older men, older than me, and now I've gone backwards, sort of. I started dating somebody who was younger than me. I'm not gonna say it's an error, but what I can say is that before this person, I didn't know what love was, and with this person, I did fall in love, and it made me do things that I wish I would haven't done. For example, put him over my pride and put him on top of everything else, and support him to the way that I lost myself in it. Not that I knew who I was, but I just knew that it wasn't the person that I was starting to be with him anymore. And it was making me very unhappy, and I'm still very unhappy because
You're still going through
yes, I am. Because I want, deep down, I want to be with him, but the problem is that he can't seem to make up his mind. And I know that I'm old enough and mature enough to want a stable life and just drama free. If anything, share that with my partner where we can communicate and have that trust. But he's not ready for that. And I am. I want a drama free life. I know we're gonna have problems. I know we're gonna have issues, but he's not ready for that. And
It's like it kind of escalates with him.
it does. I honestly believe he's sort of bipolar, because he can be okay right now, and then tomorrow he's like, fuck you, I don't want to do this shit anymore. I'm done. And it hurts me because he's bringing all my past traumas back into light, and I'm
Those
facing,
are the red flags that you're talking about.
Yeah.
and it breaks me to a point where I'm like, fuck, I mean, like, I don't want to be here no more, but I love him. And that's where I decided, okay, he's not going to take the step. I need to take it. So I quit my job and I got into another job, because one thing I know for sure, I'm never dating inside my job workplace anymore. It's the wrong way to go. Unless I started dating him before that, I started working together. But like during workplace, no. That's a no-no because it affected my job a lot. And it made my bosses very unhappy. And
It's also been affecting your mental health
while I work. And I am a workaholic. I love working. Like, I'd rather be at work making money than being at home and, not making money. So it became very uncomfortable for me. So I decided to move into another place. So, I mean, it's sort of, like you said, like it's sort of like what Sergio was going on without the manipulations. Never mind. It's just like Sergio, because
just a younger version.
Just a younger version, yeah. But
So maybe that's why you liked him, because he reminded you of Sergio.
Oh hell no!
She said she never loved Sergio.
I never loved Sergio. Sergio was just a need.
Well, I didn't say love. I say liked. It's different.
No, he's the opposite of Sergio, I guess. But in a way, they're very similar. I mean, if you really look at it, all the guys that I've met are sort of similar to Sergio in one way or another.
Was he from Michoacan?
Whom?
The you guy?
No, Guatemalteco.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah,
he's from Guatemala. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I even went out of my comfort zone and started dating a Centroamericana because like I've always dated only Mexican people, But I'm like, I'm just gonna try it out and see. It didn't start like that. It started more like, I'm kind of like, yeah. It started like sort of like, let's be friends with benefits kind of situation.
So let's just have fun.
Yeah.
You're just a boy toy.
Yeah, basically.
And then it turned into
something else. But just until today, I kind of realized that it's my mental health that I need to worry about right now. I think I'm not in a place to date, and he's not in a place to date either. I think I understand now what he's going through, and I kind of don't want to put myself in that position anymore. Like I need to worry about myself right now, and it's not gonna be with him. If later down the road things change, because I'm never gonna say never say never, right? But I think at this point, what I need to worry about it's myself and Eliana, and getting myself in a situation where I'm not vulnerable to people like him anymore. Where I can put my own how can I put it, like my own
sanity, health.
No, where I can put my needs first. In a sense, like, okay, you're doing this is bothering me. Like,
or you can put boundaries.
Boundaries. There you go. That's
where you can, yeah.
Like, I don't know how to put boundaries at this point, so I need to be in a place where I'm okay saying, you know what you're doing is hurting me, and I'm okay with it. So either gonna stop or we're gonna break up and really break up. I'm not in a place to say that right now, because I'm so vulnerable and I'm so traumatized, and I have so many shit going on in my head that I don't feel like I have that willpower to do so, because I'm so afraid of people leaving me, my abandonment issues, and there has to be a point where I'm like, okay, we need to work this shit out. If we don't work this shit out, you're going out the door. I don't care, or we need to go, get help or whatever. Like, you want to do this, we're both going to get help, period. And I haven't had the willpower to do that. And so I need to put myself in the position where I feel comfortable and do that. I'm not there yet. So,
I mean, it's good that you recognize that. That's a step forward, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
So, at this point in time where I'm not 30, just so we're clear.
29 and a half, okay.
It's
You know,
April
I
already,
need
right?
to.
Huh?
I need to prioritize
Yeah,
myself.
pasó April. So yeah, like 30 now.
No, I'm not
29?
tripping.
Or 29. So it kind of going with that. What I was just saying earlier. You know, because I also saw it like, you know, I also saw it in Eliana's, you know, point. You know, I was like, I didn't want her thinking that, you know, I didn't want her to get too much involved in a relationship with this guy, because, you know, like, you know, the thing is with a breakup, you know, you kind of go back and forth. You know, you kind of, the thing with a breakup is like, you're in a sense, you're kind of working to see if it's gonna work or not.
Yeah.
Giving each other breaks or whatever. I just wasn't, you know, too comfortable with, you know, with this being something that she was seeing. You know,
Yeah.
I just kind of wanted her to, because that's kind of, we were mentioning
I
earlier.
didn't tell you, but the other day I heard her telling the kids that you were gonna marry him.
When? Recently?
Like literally like a week or two ago.
Oh my God. Where's she getting all these ideas?
Yeah,
I was sitting outside and they were playing on the bike,
Uh-huh.
and she's like, "My mom's gonna marry Cesar," and then I was like,
Aw,
"Your mom's
me
gonna do
baby.
what?" She's like, "Nothing." I was like,
I think deep down that she loves him enough to want that, but I've told her. I mean, like,
and
if
that's kind
somebody,
of going back to what he's
Yeah.
saying. Like she's
I-
getting invested too.
I've told her. I mean, like, if somebody wants to walk away from our lives, then you have to let them. I mean, like, you can't be forcing that person to stay with you. And I tell her that all the time. But you know, she's a little girl. She'll eventually understand that.
I think that comes with her growing up without her father,
Yeah.
and she
She
also
wants that.
seeking some kind of validation.
Yeah.
So that's something that you know we have to be mindful of.
Yeah. And, you know, for the longest, I've never presented, you know, some people don't believe me when I say this, but for 6 years, because I was sobering up and I was like going through my depressions and stuff, I didn't date anyone. I mean, like, not even like dating as friends or friends with benefits, nothing. I mean, I was so invested in and so troubled with my own like depression and stuff like that, that I, you know, having a boyfriend wasn't a touchable thing at that point.
And then you
know.
finally let somebody in.
I finally let somebody in, and it turned out to be him, you know, and I think that's one of the reasons that I was so invested in him as well. But, you know, shit happens, and I learned from my mistakes. The other mistakes, I hope that I can learn from this one too.
And then this is the thing, like I'm hearing you right now, and you're kind of like the way you start talking about him is that he's a great person.
He's not.
You said that earlier though.
yeah.
What I mean,
You said he was a great person.
when it comes to like being with me, and when it turns out when we started, he was a good person. You know, I just think that he's a trouble guy, and he's not for
And
me.
that's what I was gonna go for, because based on what we've talked about, it's like he has said things to you that someone that like I just literally heard on the radio or on the podcast that I listened to or whatever, that love is respect.
Mm-hmm.
So based on the things that he has said to you, like done to you, that's not respectful.
Yeah.
Like in my eyes, he's not being respectful to you. He's not thinking about your feelings.
Mm-hmm.
And it could go back to his immaturity.
Yeah.
You know, it could go back to like he's not mature enough to be in a relationship with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's just I believe that, you know, love is respect, and if there was genuine like love there, the way that you love him, you respect him. I feel like you've given him respect. You've helped him come up. You've helped him make money. You have set up his, you know, you have helped him a lot. Coming that, like you said, he's not a person that speaks English. You know, he has had you there to do all the things that he needs, and you've helped him come up.
Yeah.
I think you even helped him get a car.
Yeah, in his bank account.
Yeah, so you've done so much for him out of love.
Yeah.
And he doesn't even appreciate that.
He doesn't. And like, I understand all of what you're telling me and everything, and I you know, I want to reword my words. I'm not saying that he's necessarily a good guy. He was nice when he was with me, you know, and I've always told him, I was like, when you're with me, you're completely different from when we're texting, when we're talking on the phone, because that's when he gets really bad. You know, he's so insecure. He's just like everything that you could possibly see on a person who who. Oh, don't take a picture of me.
Oh, no, I'm just trying to.
Like everything that he is and everything bad like he says to me, he always says it during the phone. And I'm not gonna lie, most of his words have like brought me back to my my insecurities, my troubles, and he has triggered a lot of things in me to the point where, you know, sometimes I'm like, fuck, man, I shouldn't have never loved, you know, because, you know, he's the first person I actually loved and the person who fucking broke my heart, you know, and I don't know who people who actually been heartbroken, that shit hurts. I mean, that shit really hurts. And, you know, it's...
Because I remember you even said that when you and Sergio split up, it was like you cried one day and you were over
and
it
that's
the
it.
next day.
Oh, I remember that. I told my mom, like, let me cry for one day. And she told me, Mija, that's not how it works. I mean, you're going to cry. You're going to cry for weeks. And I told her, no, I'm just going to cry this one day and I'm never crying again. And she didn't believe me. And as soon as the sun started rising, I started crying. And I cry and I cry and I cry hasta que anocheció. Yeah, when it was dark, I took a shower, I went to sleep, and next morning I went to work, and I never cried again with Sergio, ever. And when it came to Hernan, I remember as well where, I mean, I was already going through my withdrawals. I had so many other shit to think about that he was the last thing in my mind, you know. But I remember the day I told him, you know what, I don't want anything with you anymore. He said, give me another chance. I'm like, no, like, I'm done with you. I'm like, I don't want to do shit with you anymore. And that was the last time I saw him. Next time he texted me, I didn't respond. You know, and with...
You just up and left and
I did. I left everything. Like, I didn't care. I had so many shit going on in my mind that I didn't care. He was talking to me or he was calling me or nothing. You know, I didn't want to do anything with him. Like, in my mind, he had destroyed my life. You know, and I didn't cry for him. I cried for him, I think, once because, like, as soon as we have, like, I finally told him I didn't want to do anything with him, he started dating somebody else, and that hurt, you know. But it was just like a cry for, I'm not even gonna lie, it was like cry like for maybe like 5 minutes, and then I was over it, and I never cried for him again. And when it came to Cesar, like, it hasn't been easy. I mean, I still have my days where I come from work and I see his name and I see he's gonna come to work, and I just start bawling. Like, I can't help it. You know, because like my love for him was so strong that I honestly thought that things were gonna get better and that he was finally gonna bring me the peace that I needed. The problem is that he can't bring me something I don't have, and I didn't realize that until I think maybe yesterday or the day before yesterday, when I'm like, I can't give him so much power. Like, I'm expecting him to make me happy. Bitch, you gotta make yourself happy. So
I think that's part of the conversation that we were having too.
Yeah,
like, it's
like, I need to make myself happy, and like, if I can have that happiness, I'm not gonna happy with anyone, you know. So I'm working in that. It's not easy. It's not easy. You know, you can get an update like maybe like 3 months, 4 months from now, but right now I'm just telling you, I'm just dragging. I'm dragging my days every single day. And the bad thing is that one thing happens, and it's sort of like a, what is it, like, there's a word for it, but like, one thing happens, it's like a
domino effect.
Yeah, like a domino effect.
Right.
Like, it's sort of like one thing happens and it brings all your bad past and everything. Mm-hmm. I hope that it would be the same thing for happiness, but it's not like that. But when it comes to bad stuff, one thing triggers and it's all gone. And you start feeling everything from your past. And that's when you realize that you really haven't gotten over it. And I'm in that position right now.
Yeah, well, I mean, hopefully things turn out for the best. You know, yeah. I wouldn't want, I mean, you, yeah, but like I said, you're a grown adult.
Yeah.
And I don't mean to sound like fucked up, but, you know, you can make your decisions, and, you know, you're going to have to, like, because, you know, like cause and effect kind of type thing. Like, if I do this and it turns out to be like this, then it's my fault and I have to, like, you know, go with it. Yeah. But someone like, you know, I don't want Ellie to, you know, to invest herself, because she's doing that right now. She's investing herself in it. You know, it's just like, you know, I don't want her to get too invested in it. You know, just be conscious that, you know.
And I'm sure, and I mean, that's difficult not to do. I mean, You're a single mother.
Yeah.
She sees you with someone. It's hard to hide.
Yeah.
You know, a relationship that was very serious for you.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm sure for him too. You guys were around each other a lot.
Yeah, we were around each other all the time.
You know, I'm sure it was very serious. So it's hard to be like, you're never gonna meet anyone that I'm with, because you never know it's gonna go to something. You know.
Yeah. I'm more worried about this, not like over it now. Like I don't want to really bring anyone. I've always been sort of cautious about that. Like I don't really want to bring anyone until Eliana's life, until things got serious with him, you know. But no, now I'm not so sure I want to get anybody serious right now.
I have another book for you. I haven't read it, but I have a book. It's called "You Only Fall in Love 3 Times."
Oh yeah,
It's
I
supposed
remember
to
I
be-
told you I don't want to fall in love 3 times. This is gonna hurt the same shit.
Oh yeah, because this is your first one.
But
Yeah.
no, I think at this point I'm just waiting for this to come through, and then you know, to pass, and for me to get myself in a spot where I don't need anyone to make myself happy, and I want to be rich. That's all I want.
There's only one person that can make you happy, and that's you.
Yeah.
You know, I think working on yourself, your mental health, it's definitely a good step. Kind of like, you know, Graciela, she's been working on herself with just buying stuff that she doesn't use. You know,
That's also a trauma effect. Just saying.
It's like she buys makeup that she doesn't wear. You know, I mean, yeah, she uses them, but not like you would expect for someone to shop the way she does. But it's for
Shots fired.
it's for her mental health, you know. And I told her, like I've told her before, like if that's something that makes you happy, then go for it. You know, it's just about working on yourself. You know,
Don't encourage me, because then I will be broke.
Well, I don't mean buying yourself. Like kind of like we were saying, like, you know, you're working on your weight loss.
Yeah.
That's things that you need to do to work on yourself.
That's
like
just something that's going to bring you some peace of mind. It
Yeah.
doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be like crazy, like, you know, shopping all the time.
Yeah, and it's kind of
Like the
like
other day, he bought like some canvases, and he
that's
got
kind of where I was going.
Yeah, he
Or like
bought-
Mario with his animals.
Yeah, like buying fish all the time, and then they die and shit. Like, oh, and then all this podcast stuff.
Oh,
It's
this
like-
is something that is productive, though. I mean, you cannot mess with
Yeah.
productive.
It's therapeutical,
Yeah.
but kind of like before she interrupted, which she usually does. It's kind of like
Shots fired.
working on yourself is kind of like, well, I mean, for now, like I feel like I've been doing good mentally. You know, mentally wise, I feel like I'm good, but I'm always trying to find like what I can do to like improve that. I know for next step is definitely like, you know, getting, you know, condition, you know, physical. Because I'm going to be in a marathon and I have to like work out for that. So I think that's going to help myself too in
That
working
sounds interesting.
in my mental health is going to
We should do
be.
that, Chela.
No, she can't because she's
Oh,
going to
you're
be pregnant.
pregnant.
And during that time, she's going to be like ready to pop.
I mean, I'm pretty sure
Actually,
I can, but I
That's
couldn't
5,000 miles.
Oh,
5,000?
5,000?
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot.
I know. 5K.
Oh, the 5K one. Oh, I don't know. It sounded different with like 5,000 for 5K.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was 500. I'm like, holy shit, no, it's 5,000. I really got to work out. But, you know, that's kind of what I was saying is like, you shouldn't like, anybody shouldn't stop trying to work on themselves.
Yeah.
You know, Graciela does it a lot and I encourage it. Me,
Yeah.
like, okay,
I
joined
don't
this marathon.
I don't just shop a lot, okay?
No,
so
I'm
I
saying
don't
like,
just no. I also have like this coloring book that I've been coloring, and then like I have the books that I you know, like the one I let you borrow and the one that I just recommended. Like I have books. I don't always read them all, but they're there. They're available for me. You know, it's like those are my ways of trying to like, you know,
Better yourself.
yeah.
and you know, like before I was mentioning the marathon, another thing that I wanted to do is start coloring again, canvas style type. So it's like, you know, I was like, oh, let me buy canvas and some paint, and then start painting again. Just things like that. I'm like I said, I feel like I'm okay mentally, but I kind of want to keep, you know, just pushing. And
so I guess your
Just
your
find
journey,
your thing.
Yeah, your journey is to like do this 5K, and your journey is like to shop.
oh
No.
no, it's more than that. My journey.
He just made it feel like that.
My journey in reality is to be healthy. Because, you know, when you're fat, you lose energy. No, serious. When you're like overweight or obese, obviously, like, you lose energy.
Yeah.
So being in a healthy state, in a healthy, like, physical.
I think for me, health is also.
I think we can all agree that I think it's our physical, physical body that
It's
we're
not
really
about being fat. It's about being healthy. Like you want to be healthy. You don't want to be skinny.
Anorexic.
I mean,
or
whatever. Like not to like offend anyone or anything, but it's not about like losing weight. It's about being healthy. It's about feeling energized. It's about feeling good. It's about eating good. It's about just. Yeah.
You can be, I do feel like you can be like a little bit, overweight if you are physically active.
Yeah.
When I was in high school, family used to say I was fat.
Yeah.
But you were super active.
I was super active. I would run circles around people. I wasn't the fastest, but I can definitely hang in a lot longer. So if it was like a long sprint, I wouldn't be the fastest, but if you were to keep running, eventually I would catch up and pass because I was always like
he was persistent.
Yeah.
I was always like, active. I would go to Point Richmond and we would run those steep ass hills. Yeah. And that's how I gained my condition. So that's kind of like, it's just, you can't
I wish I was as fat as I thought I was when I was.
Yes, that's how I feel too. Yeah. Like I remember when I was like size 7, and I'm like, I'm so fat.
Yeah,
I was like, I'm so fat. Now I'm like, bro, now I'm really fat.
And I was like, oh my god, what is this?
Yes.
One of the things I was telling Graciela not too long.
And now I'm like, oh shit, I can see my vagina.
One of the things that I was telling Graciela is...
I don't know what you be bending, but I don't know how you bend, but okay.
It's kind of like, who did that? Peter Griffin from the Family Guy.
What did he do?
He can't see his penis because he's fat. Yeah, but anyways.
Oh, you said you can see it. I thought you said I can see it. And I was like, I don't know how you be bending, but damn.
I can't see.
But before I wouldn't be able to see my hair. Now I can finally see my hair. Okay, this went a little too far.
What was I saying?
Peter Griffin can't see his penis?
Before that. Oh. Yeah, I fucking lost it. Bro.
Okay, mental health. We all want to get better.
Yes, and physically as well. We want to get more healthy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And Mari's going to go for the 5K. He falls on his face. I'll have it in video.
Nah, I think I'll probably walk a bit. I'm gonna definitely try to run, but I have a feeling I'm gonna walk. But anyways,
you guys should train together.
Yeah. But the problem is that every time we buy one of these things, either it breaks down or somebody eats it.
That's what I was gonna use to train.
That's fucked.
Well, I mean, we can replace the cord, which is not that bad. But still.
The cord.
Yeah. No, but I think closing that off, I think we touched good subjects.
Yeah.
We definitely wanted to have you on earlier, but schedule wise and trying to schedule people in like that have a limited schedule has kind of been hard for us to sit down. But it is something like we talked about already, and I think we touched on good subjects. Mental health definitely was one of them. And our struggles definitely one of them.
Yeah, but I think a lot of people are gonna have questions, and because we're kind of vague in some stuff, but we can touch base on that later. Yeah. But I think I kind of been open book. I kind of been very
you've been
honest
open
about many things. There's some things I don't want to touch base only because I don't want to hurt the people that I love, but because. We all make mistakes. We all make mistakes, and I don't want to be that person to expose anything because we don't want to hurt the people that we love. Yeah,
and one of the things that I'm also pretty open to talking a lot, and one of the things that we are going to be talking down the future is about, like I said, like I mentioned earlier, about my mom and my dad split.
Yeah,
because there's a lot of things that even like you or my mom didn't know that I went through. Personally, emotionally, I went through a lot through that.
I think you did talk about it in one of the episodes.
Yeah. I mean, you, Graciela. I spoke to Graciela about it. She's heard about it, but things that you or my mom they haven't really heard. But it kind of goes back to that same situation, that same scenario where it's touchy because my dad, he did his mistakes and he has a family now.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like I need to be cautious about how I say things.
Yeah.
But, I kind of went through that to my head. It's like, it doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't mean that my dad is a bad person. Like, he made mistakes like anybody else. He's a human being at the end of the day.
See, that's what I meant when I said I was a good person. Because, he makes mistakes. But, like what you just said, it's true. My dad is a good person. I mean, he made horrible mistakes. But I think he has tried every day of his life now to redeem himself.
Yeah.
And he deserves the credit for it.
Yeah.
And, but it doesn't change many things. One thing I really hated, and that's something I always, there's a conversation I need to have with her, was that when I exposed one of the stuff that happened, many people were coming to me because they were saying, oh, you're destroying a family, you're destroying this and you're destroying that. What people don't realize that sometimes it's very hard for a woman to keep this inside. When you've been molested or when you've been raped or you've been doing horrible things, and just because that person redeemed themselves doesn't walk away from the harm that they did.
Yeah. And I think one of the things that...
Don't judge people by, just because they want to expose what they're
Well, that's
feeling.
one of the things that I've also been listening to, like, on the podcast that I listen to. It's like there's situations where the victim gets blamed for things.
Don't do
it's
that.
Like victim blaming
Yeah.
is exactly why people don't speak up about the things that they go through.
I mean, it's hard enough to speak about it, and having your own family, your own family members, your own friends tell you, oh, you shouldn't be doing that because that person is being good now. I'm like, yes, but at some point,
who fixes me?
Yes, like
it's
the person who broke me did this person. It doesn't mean that he's a bad person. He made a mistake, but it doesn't walk away from the harm that they did. And don't victim blame the people that are going through this shit, because I wanted to speak my truth, and because I wanted to speak my truth, one of the person that I never thought she was gonna say that told me, oh, you should be ashamed of yourself because you're destroying his family and he has already a family, he has kids, you should be ashamed and no sé qué tanto. And I'm like, no, bro. I'm like, yes, I understand that. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying this is my reality. This is what I went through and this is my truth. And you can't blame me for telling my truth because I didn't do this shit to myself. It was done to me.
Yeah, it's kind of like, if you look at someone that's been a drug addict for years, people that have been alcoholics for years, you see them on the street, like, drunk, high, passed out, and years later to sober up.
Yeah.
You can say like, hey, I remember you used to be so high, so drunk, and you would knock out in the street, head busted. It doesn't mean they're a bad person. It doesn't mean that, they should feel ashamed.
They made choices.
Yeah, they made choices, and it's something that, I mean, that's kind of like a little vague because it's like that person didn't like necessarily affect me, but it's kind of going back, with another person, like if they did their mistakes, like at the end of the day, you change, and that's what really matters. But what doesn't change is the fact.
I don't know. This is a very touchy subject.
I think, look, for personally me, I'm very open about my drug addiction. I'm very open over my addiction itself. I don't walk away from my problems, because I know that there's no reason for me to walk away. That was the person I was, and that's the mistake that I made. I have to live with that, and ni modo. I mean, I did horrible things. I spoke back to my mother. I spoke back to my aunt. And we had a fallout, like a really bad fallout. And I was even an irresponsible mother. But if I was to hurt someone, ni modo, I have to face it, And some people think, oh, it happened years ago. Get over it. Bitch, it doesn't work like that. It takes a while to process all this shit. And it takes a while. It's physical, it's mental, it's everything. And you can't just go ahead and tell somebody get over it because it doesn't work like that. People get traumatized over petty stuff. I mean, much less a traumatic event like a rape or like a molestation. I'm like, we need to be more understanding towards these people. And some people don't realize that. Like if it was to them, they will want the sympathy. They will want that sympathy. But because it didn't happen to them, and because it's touching somebody in their family, now they feel like they need to attack. It doesn't work like that. Just how you would treat somebody, a random person, a stranger, that's the way you should be supporting your family. Because if I was to find out some stranger hurt some little kid, I bet you on anything, I would be cursing the shit out of him, you know, because he deserves it, you know. But if it touches my family, then I'm like, whoa, you know, let's back up a little. It doesn't work like that. You need to use the same measuring tape. I'm sorry, it's just the way it is. And if you're sensitive about it, then maybe you should be taking it out on the person that actually did the shit in the first place. Mm-hmm. You know, like I said, it doesn't make them a bad person. It just makes them responsible for what they did, regardless of the decision. Regardless, because this is the mistakes that we made, and we have to own up to our mistakes.
Yeah, I think you know, even when we were talking about Aiden earlier, I want him to realize or to get to the idea like whatever you do is gonna have consequences. It's gonna be a good consequence. It's gonna be a bad consequences. Like, you know, if I give you $20 right now, and you decide you want to go to the store right now and spend $20 on Pokemon cards, and when we go to the flea market or we go to a store and you actually want something you want, but you already spent your money, guess what? That's on you because that's a consequence of not saving it and spending it as soon as you get the money. Same thing with the apps. You know, he has apps and he wants to buy money or coins or points or whatever it is. I'm like, okay, that's
Roblox.
fine. Roblox. I mean, you know, like, okay, that's fine. But in a sense, I'd be like, I hope you want something later so you can learn. You know,
that's shit.
Yeah, but okay, guys. I think that's pretty much it. We're gonna wrap it up.
Hitting 3 hours.
Yeah, 2:45.
You have something to say?
No, I'm good.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for joining us. And thank you everybody else for listening. If you're listening for 2:45, you know, we appreciate you. And we'll see you in the next one.